Ну, давай.
Коллеги, всем привет! Меня зовут Дима Драгун, сертифицированный преподаватель DaVinci Resolve. Сегодня со мной также и наш администратор нашей группы Сергей Князьков,
Да, всем привет.
специалист по макросам, по фьюжену, по поиску скриптов с гитхаба на русском языке, английском и китайском. Правильно, Серег?
Да-да-да. Китайцы молодцы. Много делают.
Да. Так, ну ладно, я везде все запустил, в зуме и в этом. Давайте я, наверное, размьючу, вот, чтобы наши участники тоже, я думаю, будут подключаться. Вижу, Денис подключился, Руслан, Дима, Ольга. Так, видно картинку с YouTube?
Да, да, видно.
Ну что, какие у кого ожидания сегодняшнего, сегодняшней презентации? Серег, ты как, ждешь 19-ю да Винчи?
Да. А я люблю все обновлять. Это бодрит.
Полностью согласен. Тоже обожаю всегда обновляться. Вот сразу выходит какое-то обновление, такой типа так. Я буду тестовым зверьем, который это протестит. Неважно, какой софт это, а слово вообще. Я все время вижу обновление, обновляюсь. А там уже разберемся с багами.
Ну
Пример,
да,
когда последний раз обновлялся.
баги-то можно всегда. Всегда откатиться
Неизбежно.
можно.
Пример последний раз обновлялся неделю назад или полторы недели назад. Но
Не, а
сейчас
мажорное обновление.
мажорные, они происходят 2 раза в год. Это первый раз после НЭБа, второй
Мгм.
раз осенью, где-то в октябре, в ноябре.
Ну, собственно, вот сейчас НАБ будет.
Да, сейчас после НАБа они сейчас показывают, что они новое придумали, киллер-фичи какие-нибудь, бог знает какие. И
Будет
потом...
generate fill в этом в премьере, как в фотошопе?
О, я надеюсь, нет. Пусть в автор идет это все. Там композить, вот, пожалуйста, вот туда. Не надо монтажку, еще и там... И то вот Lumetri Color сделали. Спасибо и на этом.
Ну ладно.
Я
Ну,
за
на
то,
самом...
чтобы все было отдельно. Монтажка — это монтажка, цвет — это отдельный софт по цвету. Ага,
Так, ну
началось.
что, Гранд Пэти начал выступать. Давайте я тогда звук включу.
There's quite a lot to talk about, so let's get started. Now, first I want to talk about SPI routers. We have a new video router today. It's called the Blackmagic Design 120 by 120 12 chain. It's mounted in the rack behind me over there. 6 rack units higher, so it's larger than the other one.
Что-то звука нет, что ли, да? Ты его отключил?
Appearance has a
А звук с YouTube идет?
Ну, вот сейчас не идет.
А, ну до этого шел.
Да.
Все,
Да, да.
окей.
indicator.
Ну,
It shows when the SPI input is connected and locked. Now it's got
Опять
Звук
пропал
снова не
звук.
слышно.
У меня опять звука нет, да.
now it also panels faster in the market.
Так в итоге...
Прерывается.
А может быть, у тебя звук идет с колонок на микрофон? Вот из-за этого?
Не-не. Вот я сейчас... А, или может быть, когда я себя мьючу, мьючится и звук? Может быть такое?
Да, видимо так.
Все окей, тогда я не буду себя мьютить.
Much easier. So I think it's a great new model. Now this new model, it's called Blackmagic Video 120 by 120 12G, and it'll be priced at $12,995. Prices can change obviously depending on government duties and taxes. So what's funny is this is almost the same price as the fully populated Universal Video Hub 72 model.
Как-то все тише и тише он говорит.
Plus this route is all 12G SDI, so it's much greater value. I think it's a really good replacement for the Universal Video Hub. Now we expect to be shipping in around 5 weeks. And with this model, we now have a really great range of 12G SDI routers with 5 models in total, so it's really exciting. So next I wanted to talk about our ATEM switches. Now as you know, we have an ATEM switcher called ATEM Constellation HD. It's a great switcher, but it's HD, and we really need an Ultra HD model.
Так-то лучше.
Now we already have the 4ME model, but we don't have a 2ME model that does Ultra HD. So we've developed a really great 2ME model. It's called the ATEM 2ME Constellation 4K, so it's obviously a pretty simple name. So let me show you, I'll bring it out. There it is there. So you can see it's basically it's the same features of the 2ME Constellation HD. The front panel, control panel, is basically the same as the HD model, but now it works in all Ultra HD standards up to 2160p60. So let me check out the back. I'll show you the rear. There it is there. So it has the 20 12G SDI inputs with standards converters on every input. It also has the 12G SDI aux outputs, and it has 2 separate multi-views, and they're totally independent. And they output on 2 separate 12G SDI outputs, and each one of the multi-views can be 4, 7, 10, 13, or 16 different views. So if you had 2 monitors, it's actually 32 views in total. So it's pretty cool. I'll swing it back around. So it's a really great companion for the 2ME Advanced panel. Now for processing, it has 4 ATEM Advanced Chroma keys in it, and that's on each ME. So it's actually 8 ATEM Advanced Chroma keys in total. It has a bigger media pool. So it's got 40 stills and up to 400 frame animations, or 1,600 frame animations when you run the switcher in HD, because obviously it works in HD. Now the Fairlight audio mixer is bigger because it's got more inputs. It's now got 2 DVEs, this is all the same as the HD model. It's basically double a 1ME model and half a 4ME model. Now the difference with this one, say over the 1ME model, is it's got a SuperSource processor. Now SuperSource is an independent sort of compositing engine that's built in, and it's got 4 DVEs plus a background and a foreground for graphics, and they're all layered together and available as an internal input. So you can build like a multi-layer composition in the SuperSource, then select it as a source. So it's pretty cool. So with the 4 SuperSource DVEs and the 2 general DVEs, this switcher actually has 6 DVEs in total. So it's really quite amazing. So this new 2ME Constellation 4K is available now, and it'll be priced at $3,795. It's a really good match for the Blackmagic Studio cameras, because those cameras are actually Ultra HD. So this switcher matches the resolution of our cameras now. So it's really good to have this model. But we didn't stop there. We've also developed a 4K model of the 1ME switcher. It's called ATEM 1ME Constellation 4K. It has exactly the same features as the ATEM and 1ME Constellation HD, but it works in both HD and Ultra HD. So I'll bring that out and show you. You can see the front panel is the same as the 1ME HD. You see it's got the talkback built in, plus the control buttons on the switcher, the LCD for the menus and the ATEM settings. So I'll have a look at the back. It's a little bit deeper than the HD model. Fits in the universal rack shelf. So it's got the 10 12G SDI connectors as the inputs. Each input still has the standards converter. Plus you've got 6 12G SDI outputs, and each one of those is independent. It's got a single multi-view, but the multi-view is just as powerful as the HD model and the other models of the Constellation. So it does the 4, 7, 10, and 13, and 16 views. Also, I forgot to mention the software, which actually applies to all the Constellation switches. We've been working on some new software. So you can now change the border, multi-view border color. Plus each view can have the meters, the input label, and the framing guide set independently, so you can turn them on and off. These new models have all that new software. On the 4K models, the multi-view is actually also Ultra HD, which I forgot to mention. And even on this small 1ME model, you still get really powerful Constellation features. You've got the balanced analog audio inputs. You've got the industry standard RJ12 talkback connector. So it supports broadcast talkback systems from Clearcom and RTS. It also supports SDI talkback, which uses channels 15 and 16. And we have the engineering talkback on channels 13 and 14. Plus it has all the audio routing. You can route any input audio through to the embedded audio channels on the 12G SDI video output channels. So you can record lots of audio channels, say on a hyperdeck, and then an audio engineer can remix all that audio, which is really nice to have. It includes the ATEM software control for Mac and Windows. It has obviously a broadcast video reference input, plus the USB works as a webcam. So like all the Constellations, that means you can connect the USB to a computer and the switcher actually looks like a webcam,
but it's great for running streaming software and things like that. So it's pretty cool. It's a nice switcher. It's a very powerful 1ME switcher. It's got a lot of the same features. It's got the 4 ATEM advanced chroma keyers, and it's got the fairlight audio mixer. Each mixer input's got the compressor, the limiter, 6-band parametric EQ, and the expander. So, all the Constellations have great audio. It's got the single DVE plus 2 media players. Now, the media player on this one supports 20 stills and 200 frames of animation when you're in Ultra HD, or 800 frames of animation when you run the switcher in HD. It's also got the downstream keyer, and like all the ATEM switches, Constellation switches, it's got the countdown timer on output 1, which I didn't mention on the other one, but that's really nice to have because you can send output 1 to a presenter and you can give them a countdown timer. So it's an amazing little switcher. It's really cool. Now, it'll also be available today. So the new ATEM 1ME Constellation 4K will be priced at $1,795. So as you can see, it's less than 1 rack unit wide. So you can mount it in a universal rack shelf. Then you have space for like an additional Blackmagic Web Presenter 4K for live streaming. And that would give you a 4K switcher and a streaming solution in 1 rack unit in total. So I think it's a really nice model. Now, one of the great benefits of the Constellation switches is their rack mount design. So you can choose the control panel you want, but that does raise a problem. The lowest cost control panel we have is $3,000. Now, our control panels are very nice. They've got great design, beautiful controls, amazing buttons, but the lowest cost 1ME Constellation HD is only $895. So that is quite a difference when the panel cost and the switcher cost. Now, the ATEM software control is very powerful, but pushing buttons on a bit of software is actually a bit tricky, especially the way you do live production. So we wanted to fix that. So we developed a new low-cost ATEM control panel. It's called ATEM Micro Panel, and it's designed to work with the ATEM software control. So let me show you. I'll bring it out. So here it is here. Actually, I'll move these switches back a little. Put it there. So if the guys can grab a shot of that. So it works with the computer running the ATEM software control, and it connects via Bluetooth. It's got a really big internal battery, and also connects via USB, of course. It charges via USB. But it's got the same high-end buttons as our biggest panels have. So it makes it very nice to use. So the settings are all still done in the software, in the palettes, but the panel here does the switching. And so the overall layout is actually, if you notice, it's quite similar to our other panels. It's got the 2 sets of 10 input buttons there, one row's for program and the other row's for preview. It has it even has a shift button for the input buttons. It's got the 4 upstream key buttons. It's actually got a macro button. It's got transition control down there. And we have a fader we use for manual controls. That makes it very low profile, so it's really portable. And it has 2 sets of downstream key buttons. But it actually has something else that's really exciting. It has the 4 ME selection buttons. So it'll literally control the 4 ME switcher. So let me show you how it works. So I've got it there if you guys can get a shot of that. And I'll just go across. Now we need to open the ATEM software control. It'll automatically connect. So I'll do that. So there I am. And you can see it's lit up. Now it's controlling the 2ME switcher I got in the rack over here. So I can come along here and select inputs and on the preview row as well. So it's really nice. Now there's, I can do a transition. There it is there. So it's pretty cool. Now there's a fader for the manual transition control, which I can control here. And there's a shift key, so you can get to all 20 buttons on the on this switcher here, on this larger switcher. We can also switch MEs, so I can switch across to the second ME, which is, because this is a 2ME switcher, it's a 2ME switcher, Constellation 4K in the rack here. So now this is ME2, so I can switch back. So you can see I can control some really big switches. And you can enable the keys as well. You have a key control down here. So it's pretty cool. Now it also supports macros. I mentioned before it had a macro key. And there it is there. So you can see. Now you just press and hold the macro button while you select the switcher input number. Because obviously you don't want to leave those lights on with a battery because it'll run the battery down the more lights you have on. But you can see how really easy it is to use. It's really nice. And it solves really the main problem of software control, that you want to have a switch, or you want to switch a panel with buttons you can feel. And so it's much nicer than just sort of stabbing away at the software buttons. So the new ATEM micro panel will be available in June. It'll be priced at $675. And I think it'll be a great solution for people who need like a true switcher control but have a tight budget, or if you need something really portable. So it has the really nice buttons, and we didn't save any money by using cheap buttons, but I also love that it can control a 4ME switcher. Now our switches are very affordable, so I think this panel will really help. Now I wanted to talk about some thoughts about SMPTE 2110. It's currently used by high-end broadcasters, and they have IT departments, and so it's easy for them to use. But that's kind of one of my main concerns about 2110, is it's too complex, and it's also too expensive. So at NAB this year, we wanted to work to fix that. We want more people to be able to use 2110 IP video. Now, 2110 is bidirectional, so I think live production people could really use it. but they don't have IT departments, so it has to be simple to use. And I think if we can fix these problems, everybody can benefit. So let's first talk about the cost issue. Now, we recently introduced a product called Blackmagic 2110 IP Converter 3x3G. It's a bit of a mouthful, but it has 3 channels of HD video. Now, it uses standard 10G Ethernet cables, like 6G, Cat6 cables, sorry. And Cat6 cables are very cheap. 10G Ethernet switches are cheap. 10G Ethernet actually also supports Power and Ethernet. But 10G Ethernet's already very common, and also 10G Ethernet's it's just so available. So I think using 10G Ethernet's a really good idea. But what about Ultra HD? You know, to do Ultra HD, we'd have to go to 25 gigabit Ethernet, and that's optical fiber only, and that would be very costly. So what we really want to do is do Ultra HD down a 10G Ethernet cable. And we already know this works great for HD, and it also works great for Ultra HD at 30 frames a second and under. So what about the high frame at Ultra HD? So to do that, we need to use some video compression.
Если что, эта трансляция
And we didn't want to
подвисает
use
у
an
Blackmagic'ов
off-the-shelf
самих. У
codec
меня
for this
показывает,
because
что
they have really
YouTube
high
грузит
licensing
нормально.
fees, and they've
Наверняка через свои новые приблуды.
also got a lot of latency.
Через
And
атомы как
latency is
раз-таки,
a
да,
big problem
транслирует и
for
подвисает.
live production. And these off-the-shelf codecs are very complex. They take up a lot of space inside the products, so it drives up the product cost. Now we've solved that. We've developed a new lightweight data reduction codec. It's called Blackmagic IP10. It's extremely simple. It has very light compression, almost none. I mean, we're only trying to fit 12 GSDI into a 10G Ethernet cable, so we don't need very much compression. Plus, it's a very small design. It's only about 1/20th the size of a regular codec. And it doesn't use any weird technical tricks like modern technical tricks, which means it can be an open standard, so there's no licensing cost. And we're going to publish this design in our manual so anyone can use it. Really, any FPGA design will be able to make this codec. And it doesn't take up much space in the product, so the product's a lower cost. It also means that regular 10G Ethernet cables can now do high frame rate Ultra HD, and then we can design smaller products such as mini converters. Okay, so now let's talk about the next problem, which is complexity.
Звук отключился у Blackmagic.
Fix that. Well, the easiest way to do that is design products to work point to point. If we make a converter for each end, then you just connect them, and all the configuration's automatic. Like, for example, you can just connect cameras to switches, connect them to direct. There's no settings. We just have to design the converters we need to be able to work on both ends of the cable. And so we've been working on that. But there's another big advantage, I think, of using Cat6 cables for 2110, like 10G Ethernet cables, is we can power the remote devices. So the studio can like power a camera, for example. And that means you only have one cable, and remote devices don't need any local power, which can be a huge advantage for live production. So I think it's really exciting if we can address those issues. So even though we want the products to be low cost and simple, they still do need to be SMPTE 2110 IP products. You can use them in complex broadcast systems, and they support the full 2110 standard, like the PTP clock. They support multicast, NMOS routing. They're 10-bit, and they support SD, HD, and Ultra HD. So what I want to do is show you some of the products that we've designed, and each product has been designed for a specific task. So let's talk about the camera and monitoring side first. So a very common need is for monitoring. For that, we have a new Blackmagic 2110 IP Mini, Blackmagic 2110 IP Mini, a high-beta HDMI. Now, what it allows you to do is monitor 2110 video on any HDMI TV or monitor. So let me bring the product out. Here it is here. So you can see it's nice and small, so you can mount it behind a TV. There's the HDMI side there, if you can get a shot of that. Now, it supports all HD and Ultra HD standards up to 2160p 60. And it has a 10G RJ45 Ethernet cable, which I'll show on the other side there. Now, powers from the 10G Ethernet, but it actually includes a DC power supply as well. Now, it's a true SMPTE 2110 device. It'll work on large 2110 systems.
Вот, кстати, одна из полезных вещей, о которых я узнал не так давно, как раз-таки из чата ExitLight, это то, что если идет передача сигнала видео по проводу, и если это какие-то далекие расстояния, типа там больше 50 метров, то имеет смысл передавать через витую пару, а не через HDMI. Я с такой проблемой столкнулся, когда у себя в квартире провод HDMI прокладывал и заложил там 50 метров, и это все работает с Божьей помощью. Вот если бы через витую пару, то оно как бы считается, что более надежнее.
2110 IP Mini, bi-direct 12G. So let me show you, I'll bring it out. First, let me get rid of this. Move this out of the way. Here it is there. So as the name says, it's bidirectional. So I can show you the 10G Ethernet there. So it connects, it basically converts 12G SDI to 2110, which could be used for like a camera feed, but at the same time, it converts from 2110 to 12G SDI, which could be a program return. If it's used with an ATEM switcher, then all that control information would go back through the program return on the SDI output. And the control stuff includes tally, camera control, lens control, and talkback. Now it's 12G SDI for all HD and Ultra HD video standards up to 2160p 60. It has the low-cost RJ45 10G Ethernet. It powers from 10G Ethernet as well, but it includes the DC power supply. And it's so small you can mount it beside a camera. But what's really fun about this product is it includes a 5-pin XLR talkback connector. Now, a lot of SDI cameras don't have talkback, so we thought it'd be really nice to add that. So it works with any, you can see the connector there, if I can get a shot of that. It works with any standard broadcast talkback headset. And also it has talkback controls. So if you look down there, you can see there's talkback headset volume controls and a push to talk button. So it's pretty cool. So it really has everything you need for a camera. Now, this new model, make sure I don't put it upside down. This new model, the Blackmagic, is called the Blackmagic 2110 IP Mini Bidirect 12G, and it'll be priced at $365. And that'll be available in May. Okay, so the next live production problem we want to solve is handling presenters. Like when a presenter is giving a talk to an audience, they often have a computer with slides on it, and that computer is often connected to a projector. Well, actually, it has to be connected to a projector. They also have microphones locally on the podium. So we wanted to have a solution for this. It's called the Blackmagic 2110 IP Presentation Converter. Let me show you, I'll bring it out. Let me just make some space here. Here it is. Now, it's quite different to our normal converters because it's kind of a bundle of different conversions all in the one design. But for presenters, they kind of need all these. So the front's similar to our Ternix Mini converters, but you have the LCD for the settings. Plus, there's a headphone connection and speaker. But we'll have a look at the back. That's where it gets really interesting. You can see there. Now, there's a HDMI input to connect to the computer, and it looks like a second monitor to the computer. Now, there's actually a standards converter on input to that, so you don't have to worry about what the computer settings are. The HDMI will just convert the video coming in and send it out. So people can just walk up and plug their laptop in. But next to that, you'll notice we have a USB-C connection. That's actually also a video input. It's basically like having a USB to HDMI adapter built into the converter. So you just plug in the USB and you get video connection. And what's really good too is that the USB will charge your computer. So you don't have to worry about any of the battery running low on the computer. You get both video and power from the converter, and all in that single USB-C connection. Now, we also have a HDMI output. That's for the projector. So the presenter's slides can be sent up through the converter up to the projector. But some projectors don't handle all the video standards. Some of them are pretty crappy if they've been installed for a while. So we have a second standards converter on the HDMI video output, so it'll make sure that the projector's happy. So whatever the projector needs, this converter will just convert it and provide that. You'll also notice on the back there's a 12G SDI output. That's great if you want to feed a regular switcher with the SDI video from this converter, but we also have the SMPTE 2110 IP video connection on there. Now, this converter can be powered from the 10G Ethernet connection. Even when there's a USB computer connected, it powers both the converter and the laptop, so that's pretty nice. And another powerful feature of 2110 IP is it's the Ethernet connection is bidirectional. So what this actually means is you can switch the HDMI output and the 12G SDI output to be a return feed coming into this into the converter from the IP input, not the local HDMI or USB input. Now, this is really nice because it means you can run a projector from the switcher output, and the switcher output operator can decide what feeds the projector. Often it would be the computer being fed back, but if they're unplugging the computer, maybe it could be a title slide or something like that. So I think that's a really powerful feature of 2110 IP video. Now, we also have some XLR audio outputs if you want to feed like a local PA speakers from the switcher, because the switchers have powerful audio. Plus, there's actually some XLR microphone inputs, and they have fan and power, and they're for local microphones. So you can see this has a lot of features. It's so flexible. So I think it's a really great solution for all types of presenter needs. It's a whole lot of different conversions all in there that really solve that problem specifically, or all the problems you have with presenters. Now, the new Blackmagic 2110 IP presentation converter will be priced at $845. So it'll also be available in May. So next we have a 4-channel rack converter. And this can be used to add like 2110 IP channels to an ATEM switcher, like we've got one on the rack over here. Now this new model is called Blackmagic 2110 IP Converter 4x12G. I'll bring it out. As I was saying, we've got one over in the rack here, but here's...
Про DaVinci пока ничего не говорили, но если будут говорить, то это, скорее всего, будет в самом конце, как самое вкусное. Я так думаю, что сначала нам покажут как бы железки ATEM, потом, скорее всего, нам покажут камеры, Какие есть, кстати, предположения по поводу камер? Дим, что ты думаешь, нам сегодня покажут? Еще одну 6К Pro покажут или нет? Да, Видя правильно пишет. И One More Thing это в конце, как 19-я DaVinci. Дима, мне вот
Мне
интересно,
кажется, что камеры они уже представили все, что могли, нет? Совсем недавно.
недавно, а я не помню, там только обновление прошивки вроде выходило, а камеры не помню.
Нет, там была новая камера, у них даже типа фуллфреймовая, насколько я помню.
Которая 6К
небольшая
Pro,
такая,
G2?
наверное, я не знаю.
Ну
Это
слушай, ну
было
это не
вроде
так,
не
это
супер.
давненько было, я бы сказал,
Разве?
относительно, по ощущениям. Дима, насколько атомы вот полезны с точки зрения на площадке, если в роли режиссера монтажа это захватывать, вводить? Бесполезно? А ты только текстом, без микрофончика? Для режиссеров? Ну ладно, окей.
So our IP video products will also work with 3G, 6G, and 12G SDI optical modules. So you get optical SDI depending on what you want to do. So we have 3 optical models. Now they're actually the same as the other converters I've just shown you. However, the rack converter that we have is 8 channels because we don't need to power external converters. We have more space to put 8 channels. So it's actually 8 converters in one. Now this model is called the Blackmagic 2110 IP converter 8 times 12G SFP. Like the 4-channel model, it's bidirectional. It has 8 SFP Ethernet sockets. And so it also has the 8 12G SDI inputs and the single 12G SDI program input as well. So it's really nice. So this 8-channel rack converter will be priced at $2,595. We also have a 2110 IP HDMI converter like this one here. It's also exactly the same, but the Ethernet's an SFP optical socket, so you can put the modules in, and it'll be priced at $295. And we also have a version of the SDI converter here with an SFP socket for optical fiber. So it's bidirectional 12G SDI, and that'll be priced at $365. So they're exactly the same apart from the Ethernet being different. Now all these optical models will be available around June. And there'll be details of all the different models here because we don't have a lot of time. The details about all these models will be on our website. So next I wanted to talk about monitoring. Now we have a SmartView 4K rack monitor. It's very popular, but we thought it'd be good to add SMPTE 2110 into it. And then it'd be able to handle both SMPTE 2110 and 12G SDI video. So the new model is called SmartView 4K G3. It's the 3rd generation of the rack monitor. I don't really have the space to bring one out here, but I do have one over in the rack over there if you can get a shot of that. And I have some slides as well so I can show you the back of it. And it's very similar to the old model. Obviously it's full Ultra HD resolution screen, but now it has the SMPTE 2110 IP input. Now it actually has an RJ45 socket and a SFP socket for 10G Ethernet. So it can do both optical and Cat6 cables. It has 2 12G SDI inputs like the older model had, and it has the 12G SDI loop out. And that SDI output actually will switch video out from either the SDI input or the 2110 input. Now it handles SD, HD, and Ultra HD, and it has an internal power supply. It actually has both AC and DC connections, and the DC connection provides some redundancy. It's the same machined metal design, but now it's actually in a deep black color, so it matches our other products. It's really nice. It's 6 rack units, has the control buttons along the bottom, and it has the screen overlays. It actually runs Blackmagic OS now, and it also still has the 3D lookup tables. So I think it's a really nice new model. Now the new SmartView 4K G3 will be priced at $1,265. So that's the same price as the previous model. So now you get SMPTE 2110 IP input at no extra charge. So that'll be shipping in a few weeks. So next up is audio monitoring. We also thought it'd be nice to have audio monitoring with 2110 built in. And so the Blackmagic audio monitor is a really nice audio monitor. It's 1 rack unit in size with great audio. So now we've got a new model that adds SMPTE 2110 input. It's called Blackmagic Audio Monitor 12G G3. It's also the 3rd generation of the audio monitor. I have one in the rack over there, of course, if you can get a shot of that, but I've also got one here. It's a wonderful design. You can see it's still got the machine metal front, but now it's in the deep black. It's got that large audio meter and the headphone socket on the front. It's got fantastic big sound for a 1 rack unit. Really powerful amp, dual subwoofers, all digital processing, amazing audio meters, and really accurate ballistics. Each RGB segment in the audio meter is actually isolated so you don't get light bleed, and you can change the meters between VU, PPM, or loudness. Now Now the meters will change color to the standard. Let's check out the back panel. You can see the back, similar to the previous model. So we have the monitoring output for video devices. It's a full HDMI 4K output, so you can use TVs as a monitor. So it'll convert SDI or 2110 IP to the video output. So it's obviously still got the advanced 12G SDI input and supports SIM2 2110 now. So it's compatible with SD, HD, and Ultra HD video sources. And it even supports the NMOS standard and other SIM2 2110 protocols. But it also connects to analog. So it's got the bounced XLR analog audio input, the ASEBU XLR digital audio input, the RCA hi-fi analog input. So it's got a lot of stuff, and it's got obviously the built-in power. So it's pretty cool. So I think this will be a really great model. I'll put it down here. And so it's got such amazing sound in one rack unit. It connects to everything, and it's got an amazing audio meter. So the new Blackmagic audio monitor 12G G3, we priced it 1295.
На самом деле
So I'll
уже
just put
очень
this under the
хочется, чтобы они
presentation border.
обновили панели для цветокоррекции.
А что бы ты хотел, чтобы обновили?
Или хотя бы прошивочку для мини-панели, чтобы уже, наверное, кастом-кнопочки все-таки заработали.
Чтобы HDR-палетку настроить?
Что еще раз?
HDR-палетку настроить?
Да нет, HDR-палетка-то настраивается. Есть же кнопочка кастом на мини-панели, чтобы там можно было заполнять самостоятельно инструментами своими. Либо уже хотя бы апдейтили Advanced панель, потому что она очень давно не апдейтилась. Она, ну, мягко говоря, не очень, потому что дублирующихся кнопок на левую и на правую руку было сделано. Даже клавиатура, которая там выезжает, она без подсветки. То есть это много сомнительных решений, и хотелось бы, либо они апдейтили Advanced панель, либо что-то промежуточное между мини и Advanced бы сделали.
Ну да, звучит интересно. А у вас на
Хочется простого
Advanced
человеческого,
стоит?
чтобы не было расшатанный вход USB-C.
Ну да, тоже хоть покрепче.
А у вас, Денис, Advanced стоит? На студии?
Advanced на Ленфильме мы LKS Post, у нас миники стоят. Ну, есть в доступности два Advanced стоят, и они такое, скажу, самые неудобная панель на самом деле.
Мгм.
Мне кажется, имел бы смысл как раз микро обновлять, потому что она кажется с новыми обновлениями DaVinci, типа HDR-палеткой, кажется очень ограниченной. И то, что ты даже не можешь нормально переключиться между HDR и Primaries, это, конечно, ну, стыдно как-то.
Ну да, на самом деле, потому что очень много куча кнопок на мини бесполезных абсолютно. Это такой кнопка перехода в Full Viewer и Cinema Viewer мод. Зачем они на мини-панели, когда, скорее всего, колористы, которые имеют мини-панели, они имеют реф-монитор, и очень сомнительно, в общем-то, да. И переход в HDR колес, он тоже как бы не очень удобен через кнопку User. И вообще в кнопке User там как бы, да, они добавили управление варпером, но оно тоже как бы очень не очень. И вот эта кнопка User, она есть, но она, в принципе, не кастомизится совершенно никак. Ну, как правило, при выдаче какого-то жирного апдейта мажорного, когда Resolve это делал, то они выкидывали и прошивку для панели, для мини.
Интересно, сейчас увидим. А ты,
Ждем.
Денис, пользуешься варпером?
Редко, ну да, пользуемся. Это
Да.
хорошая штука.
Утверждаю. Но ты на мини хотя бы можешь перейти в HDR, а мы на микре вообще ничего не можем. Мы можем HDR только выйти, а войти туда не можем. Придется мышкой.
Ну, что поделаешь, покупайте мини.
Labels that appear whenever a 2110 device is connected, and they're all displayed in alphabetical order on the front screen. So let me go over to the rack and I'll show you how this works. So if you can sort of just track over as I walk over. So we've got one here. So you can see the front panel there. So it's really easy to use. So I just change the route. There it is. So it's exactly the same as a video router. So it's really cool. I also have a smart control up here. So it's been upgraded to support NMOS. So I can also route with that. And you can see they actually followed. So if I change this, you'll see the smart controller change. So it's really cool. Now let's talk about monitoring. Status is actually quite important for monitoring, for television, sorry. And so you want to really see what's going on. So we have a great monitoring output of this Ethernet switch. Let me show you that. So I've got it connected up into the B input of this display here. So you see there. Now, each connection has a speed graph on the monitor output, so it's really easy to see what's going on. And the graph shows all the data activity and the speed connections. You can also see the 2110 device names on each port if it's a 2110 device connected. So I kind of think that's a really nice feature. It's pretty cool. Like as you switch, you can see the different video changing. You can see as I'm changing into the monitor there. It's really cool. You can see the speed change. In fact, I disconnected. So I'll bring it back and you can see it come back up again. It's really cool. So I think this is a great solution for small 2110 broadcast systems. I'll come back the other side if you can track back. It's really great for flyway kits or small broadcast trucks. Now this new Blackmagic Ethernet switch 360p, which is its name, will be priced at $2,895. So it'll be available in July. So I think we have a really great range of SMPTE 2110 IP video products now. We've got cameras, converters, Ethernet switch, video monitoring, audio monitoring. And then with the upgrades, the cameras will support 2110. So I think that's really nice because people can use the cameras they already have because they'll be converted to 2110. So it's great. Okay, so next up, I want to talk about DaVinci Resolve 19. So we've got some really exciting upgrades this year. We've been working very hard on it. Now, most of the upgrades are for high-end digital film customers, as well as Blackmagic Cloud integration for large customers. We've also been working on some other features for broadcasters. You know, we've always wanted to get broadcasters to have access to these high-end film features, such as color correction and advanced fusion effects. So I think bringing digital film quality to more people is very exciting. It's so creative. So first I want to show you a quick video that outlines some of the new features in DaVinci Resolve 19. Then I can come back and talk about some of the new broadcast features. So let's run the video.
DaVinci Resolve 19 introduces a tremendous number of new features, including AI-based tools for tracking, noise reduction, and audio effects, text-based timeline editing, the color slice vector grading palette, the film look creator effect, and the Fusion U volume tool for advanced smoke, flames, and explosion VFX. Let's get started. In the edit page, you can now use audio transcription to directly edit the timeline, detect multiple speakers, and replace text. To begin, right-click a clip in the media pool, navigate to audio transcription, choose speaker detection, and then press transcribe. In the transcription window, you'll see text assigned to various speakers as well as timestamps. Click to change the speaker names and reassign dialog lines as needed. Select sections of text and hit delete to remove associated video and audio in the timeline. Perform full or partial term searches.
Мне нравится, что 19 снизу написано без бетты. Интересно, она выйдет прям сразу сегодня как полноценная или как бета?
Не, у них, по-моему, так
Не, но
всегда.
они все равно будут давать на тест юзерам, так что
Бетку?
вряд ли это будет прям схода. Давай послушаем, что там еще, там сжатые видео.
To exit. The edit page now offers a fixed playhead option found in the timeline view options menu on the left side of the toolbar. With this configuration, the playhead remains static while the timeline moves during playback. This can mean less zooming and horizontal navigation when editing. You can now use your numeric keypad to directly enter timecode values for the timeline or viewer. Use plus and minus symbols to navigate up and down the timeline, or select clips and add or subtract values to move and trim them. The Inspector's File tab now features a streamlined way of handling audio file properties and skimming audio channels, so you don't need to open the clip attributes. The Color page introduces another groundbreaking tool, Color Slice. This grading palette allows you to adjust properties of the conventional 6 vectors of an image: red, green, and blue, cyan, magenta, and yellow, plus a dedicated skin vector. You can adjust the density, saturation, and hue of each vector. Saturation uses a subtractive mode, affecting midtones and shadows more than highlights. This allows you to achieve deep, filmic looks. Click the highlight icon in the upper left to preview the vector's key. Use the center slider to adjust the position of the vector slice relative to the color wheel. Adjustment controls across the top of the palette allow you to make changes to the image on a global level. The new IntelliTrack option in the Trackers palette uses DaVinci Neural Engine AI to achieve incredible tracking performance. In the Tracker palette, choose IntelliTrack, add tracker points to the image, and move them to trackable areas of the frame. Use the Tracker toolbar controls to track effects or stabilize an image. In the Motion Effects palette, the Spatial Noise Reduction tool has a new DaVinci Neural Engine-driven mode, Ultra NR. When you click Analyze, the Luma and Chroma threshold parameters will automatically adjust to best reduce noise based on the sample area. You can resize and reposition the sample area in the viewer to instantly update the threshold parameters and optimally remove digital noise from your image. The new node stack feature allows you to break up your overall node graph into separate layers while maintaining a single video pipeline. It's the perfect solution to grades with complex node structures. To activate Node Stack, open Project Settings, go to General Options, and in the Color section, choose the amount of Node Stack layers. You can choose up to 4 layers and customize their labels. Node Stack layers will now be available to all clips in the project. Use the drop-down menu or the dots above the node graph to navigate between the layers. This feature can be combined with versions and group workflows. Clip graph layers are applied sequentially when transferred between stills or clips. Right-click on a thumbnail and select Apply Active Layer to transfer node graphs to one layer at a time. Other grade actions like rippling and resetting can also be done on a per-layer basis. When working in the RGB mixer palette, you now have the option to normalize channels as you adjust them. This means that the luminance of the image will remain constant, giving you some aesthetically pleasing split-tone effects. In the Effects panel, the new Film Look Creator allows you to design cinematic looks through the use of film emulation grading techniques and effects. To begin, drag the Film Look Creator effect onto a node. You will immediately see an underlying film look driven by over 60 internal parameters. As it's scene-driven, it will work with any type of footage as long as it's correctly color-managed. You can choose a preset at the top to get started. Use the blend controls to adjust the strength of the underlying color look and spatial film effects. Photometrically set exposure, S-curve contrast and highlights, and fade the shadows and black point of the image. The white balance and tint use chromatic adaptation to realistically shift a scene's light source. Use the skin bias parameter if the previous settings have oversaturated or unbalanced the skin. Subtractive saturation, richness, and bleach bypass offer different ways of adjusting image saturation, while split tone adds opposing color hues to the highlights and shadows of the image. The remaining internal effects imitate the physical aspects of film. Affect light source halation and bloom, introduce grain texture, and add motion with flicker and gate weave. Defocus background is a DaVinci neural engine effect that uses AI to simulate shallow depth of field in a shot. To begin, generate a mask of your foreground. You can do this within the same node or in a separate node, which you'll connect to the defocus background key input. Control blur amount, saturation, and even color to make your foreground subject pop. The face refinement tool has undergone some major improvements to its tracking and feature controls. It can now detect multiple subjects, allows you to fine-tune track points and interpolate keyframes, and offers more facial feature adjustment options. On the Deliver page, you can now disable specific video tracks when setting up a render job. You can now restore backups of deleted timelines. Click the Options menu in the Media pool and choose Deleted Timeline Backups. USD tools on the Fusion page have received several updates. The new U-Texture, U-Texture Transform, U-Normal Map, and U-Shader nodes give you the ability to import and manipulate textures directly in your USD scene without having to wrap them in a USD file first. These tools add flexibility and control to your USD workflow within the Fusion page. And now Fusion lets you more easily render realistic or stylized smoke, flames, and explosions using the new U-Volume tool. This lets you directly load volumetric VDB files and easily control shading and field mapping. The new Multi-Poly tool makes rotoscoping more efficient by allowing you to create multiple masks in a single node. The list of polygon shapes in the inspector allows you to easily modify, organize, and animate shapes through one simple interface. The Shape tools have received several updates. The new S-Text node allows you to add text directly into your shape-based node trees, and the new S-B-Spline node allows you to create B-Spline-based shapes. Also, all shapes now support animation motion paths, and the Shape Tool Style tab now includes opacity controls. The Fusion Tracker now defaults to using IntelliTrack, the new DaVinci Neural Engine tracker. Using AI makes tracking easier and more precise, especially when tracking many points. DaVinci Resolve 19 introduces a powerful new way of applying Fusion compositions to your clips called referenced composition. This method allows you to reuse your work across multiple clips or even timelines. You create a referenced composition on the Edit page by selecting a single clip or a stack of clips, and then select Create Referenced Composition from the contextual menu. This generates a Fusion reference composition in the media pool. You can enter the Fusion page to start compositing, or double-click the reference composition in the media pool to open it. Referenced compositions can be linked to other clips in any timeline by selecting the reference composition, then right-clicking the target clip and selecting Link to Referenced Composition. Any changes you make are applied across all connected clips because they are all referred or linked to the same composition. Reference compositions are an effective and secure way to keep your work backed up and organized, as they live in the media pool and will persist even if the original reference clip is deleted from the timeline. With DaVinci Resolve 19, the Fusion page has also received several other important updates, such as support for OpenColor I/O 2.3, support for additional view LUT options and display transforms, and the already powerful Text Plus node has received additional on-screen controls that are available both on the Fusion page and on the Edit page in Fusion Overlay mode. The Fairlight page has exciting new features and effects that enhance your creativity and save you time. Let's start in the inspector, where you'll find 3 new AI-based track effects. Music Remixer is an AI plugin that lets you remix music tracks to fit your show. Start by enabling the Music Remixer on a track containing music. Open the controls and adjust levels for vocals, drums, bass, guitar, and other sources. You can change a vocal song into an instrumental track with a single click. Remix the different instrument levels, and even automate changes over time. Dialogue Separator uses AI to give you independent level controls for dialogue, background sounds, and ambience, so you can refocus recorded dialogue and lower distracting background sounds while preserving the reverberant field of the room.
When you vote Jamie Woods, you vote a real leader. I remember birthdays.
Or decreasing the excessive ambience while adjusting background sounds as needed over time.
When you vote Jamie Woods, you vote a real leader. I remember birthdays.
This is perfect for improving location recordings in active spaces.
Will you teach me how to surf?
The Ducker makes it easy to get a good mix automatically by using the levels of one track to manage the levels of another track, without the need for keyframes or automation. In this scene, the music track is overpowering the dialogue. Just enable the Ducker on the music track and choose the dialogue as the source track. Then adjust the amount that you want the music to lower.
Well,
use the controls to adjust the duck level and response time.
will you teach me how to surf?
The real-time waveform display shows the level changes in the music whenever dialogue appears as the source track. All the track effects are available in the mixer and the inspector for the selected track. To choose which track effects are visible in the mixer, use the Mixer Options menu. Completely unique to DaVinci Resolve, you can now do AI-based audio panning in the Fairlight viewer using IntelliTrack. You can automatically track people or objects and generate precise pan automation. To track an object, mark a range in the timeline and select the track. You'll find the tracker controls in the Fairlight viewer. Here, you can enable auto-tracking and select the pan parameters you want to track. Move the tracker to the object on screen and start the tracker. You'll get fast, intuitive results without the need to spend hours manually creating pan automation to match picture. Here, you can see the finished pan automation curve in the timeline. Or open the pan window and use the new 3D perspective options to visualize the auto-panning movement in relation to the listener. You can also do manual pan tracking directly in the Fairlight viewer. When it comes to immersive audio, version 19 offers improvements in MPEG-H and Dolby Atmos workflows, along with full support for recording, mixing, and delivering ambisonic spatial audio. Ambisonics is a full-sphere immersive surround audio format that can accurately represent the entire sound field around the listener. To begin, in Preferences, navigate to Video and Audio I/O, to Immersive Audio, and enable Ambisonics. Now, you'll have access to the full Ambisonics toolset so you can create ambisonic tracks and buses up to 5th order. Use binaural monitoring to experience immersive sound while working with headphones, or choose a monitoring format that matches your delivery requirements and speaker configuration. The Fairlight Ambisonics panner displays 2D or 3D spherical panning within the sound field, and can be used to position mono or stereo tracks within the field. Metering options include a single composite bar graph in the mixer and timeline and energy, sonar, or power displays. Use the space view scope to monitor high-order ambisonic sources as they relate to other sounds and the room. Or enable 360-degree viewer mapping in the Fairlight viewer for dynamic graphical metering of either intensity or a sonar-style view. There's even support for third-party ambisonic head tracking and plugins. The Fairlight channel EQ has been updated with real-time analyzer and selectable slope for high-pass and low-pass filters.
Social club right here. They're called Friends.
And sidechain control is now available for capable Fairlight effects and AU and VST plugins. We hope you enjoy exploring these and many more of the new features in DaVinci Resolve 19. Thank you for watching.
Okay, so you can see there's a lot of new exciting features there and some really nice AI stuff too. You know, we use AI for so many things, so it's pretty cool. So now I want to talk about some of the new broadcast features. As I mentioned before, DaVinci is mostly about high-end film and television production, but for years we've been trying to get broadcasters access to digital film quality, and it's been progressing really well. You know, broadcasters have adopted tools such as color correction and fusion effects and Fairlight audio, so I think it's really exciting. But at IBC, we created a bit of a problem. We created the new Blackmagic camera app, and look, it's really amazing. It lets you shoot with an iPhone. It creates proxy files and then syncs live to the Blackmagic Cloud website. So any DaVinci Resolve system that connects to that project will see the media arrive in real time. So it's pretty cool. And we also added that software to the URSA Broadcast G2. So when you're shooting, the media files just sync to DaVinci Resolve right into the bin, and that's globally. So it's pretty cool. In fact, the cameras can literally log into the project and the shots arrive automatically. So it's great, but we caused a problem because now what we need to do is we need to get those shots to air in seconds. Yeah, we don't have a lot of time. If the shots are coming in real time, then we don't want to wait. So this is the sort of problem we created. We have to now think about the post-production side because we want to get those shots on air now. So we need faster editing, and that's what the cut page in DaVinci was for. It's basically for news cutting. But there is a couple of other things that have happened over the last few years. We had to slow down the work on the cut page more than I would have liked for the last couple of years because there's been some big changes with computers. Apple released their own custom CPUs, and these have been called the M1, M2, and M3 processors. Now, what's unique about these CPUs is their massive speed. But what's really important for us is they've got built-in hardware codecs. They have ProRes in hardware. So it's like having a whole rack of ProRes encoders inside the CPU. Even the laptops are fast. It's really actually not like nothing we've ever seen. But it did mean that we had to rewrite all the processing in DaVinci Resolve. These CPUs process images in a different way, and there were some new developer frameworks we had to adopt. So we realized if we rewrote all the code, it would give us a huge speed boost. And now DaVinci Resolve is the fastest app for image processing, but it also means we had to, we got tied up a bit over the last couple of years, and now we've only just got back to working on the cut page. So this year we've got a bunch of new features in the cut page to show because we've been able to get back to it. Now, one of these major features is faster shot selection. Now, if the shots are coming in real time through Blackmagic Cloud, we want to be able to select them and edit really fast. But we noticed something else. Broadcasters don't often have a lot of time to render to a server. They've got to get the story on air now, which means the editor actually has to play to air. So this means we've added a bunch of playout features, and it's kind of a replay system. So what we did is we actually designed a replay system and put it into DaVinci Resolve. It's built into DaVinci Resolve, which means the replay has the full power of DaVinci Resolve included, which means it integrates into a whole post-production workflow team. So it's kind of an exciting combination. You can essentially imagine each replay being converted into a social media post because the replay system is a great place for this because it's got access to all the cameras. So you get the best camera angles. It's kind of like video tweets. You could even sell advertising in the replays. I mean, who knows what's possible? It's very exciting. You do get a replay system that's also very affordable. But also from designing a replay system, we get a lot of new editing features. So it was kind of an interesting way of thinking about how to improve the editing by doing replay, because replay kind of goes beyond editing. It's not editing, but it goes beyond it. So before I show you these new features, I wanted to show you a new editor panel we've got. I don't really have time to show you a lot of the features it has, but I want to show you some of the new cut page features with it. Now, it's designed to be both a multicam editing panel and a replay panel. It's kind of a combination panel. So it supports Bluetooth, and it has a really large internal battery. It's more like an advanced version of the DaVinci Resolve Speed Editor, but it's got some big improvements. It's faster to use. Now, it's called the DaVinci Resolve Replay Editor, and let me show you. I'll bring it out. So here it is here. There it is.
Так, ну вот, для вас, режиссера, мы
Now you can see
нажали.
it's quite different to the speed editor, but it does have some similarities. We've spaced out the keys further to help you use it faster. Now I don't have a lot of time in this video to explain everything. I think you guys can get that
Реквизит
there.
для съемок.
And I've got some slides I can show.
По факту,
But it has a lot of the great features from the speed editor. So you can see it's got the trim controls here. They've moved down to there. I've got the search dial over here. So it's beautiful. And we've also moved the undo away up to a key by itself where it's really easy to find. We've also moved the camera buttons along the bottom there in a single line, so they're much easier to use. They're just easy to locate by feel. That was one of the biggest problems with the speed editor. And it really helps speed up multicam editing. Now we've also got a couple of new, we've got a trim all button over here. Now what this will do is it'll trim a proportional amount of every timeline clip. So all the clips get trimmed by a proportional amount. So it's really fast, allow you to sort of basically, you push that down and adjust the speed, the search dial. And it's a really fast way of trimming the entire timeline to a specific time. Now it won't trim the audio track, which means you can actually trim all the video clips to an audio track. So it's really nice. You just press and hold that button like the other trim controls here, and you use the search dial. Now we've also got a ripple delete. It's got a dedicated key now because before it was a double press, which is over here. And we can also change the speed of clips now, which is another thing people wanted for from the speed editor. We can do it right from the keyboard. We've got the ability to apply speed changes, and you can use the search dial to move the keyframes around. So that's pretty cool too. Now we've also got new time keys for faster editing. Now you can use those keys to add shots into the timeline for specific lengths. So you don't need an out point because you can just say, I just want 6 seconds. So this keyboard has so many features. I don't really have time, unfortunately, to go through them all. However, I can use the keyboard for an edit, and I can show you how it works by actually doing some editing with it. So let me show you some of the new features on the cut page. So we'll head across. So let's go over here. Move the keyboard out of the way. So, all right, so I've got an overhead camera, so you might be able to look down and see some of the things I'm doing. So you might be, actually I better bring DaVinci up. There it is. So you might be familiar with the source tape. It flattens out all the media and lets you basically visually scroll across all your media. It's really great when using an edit keyboard. It's like something we have on the DaVinci Resolve speed editor. So let me show you that. So if I click source, there you see there. Now it's lined up all these shots. Now I've got a couple of shots here that have come in. And in fact, I don't need the mouse. I can just scroll. See, there you go there. Now it lines up all the shots sequentially, even if the shots are recorded at the same time. So it's a little bit of a disadvantage. I mean, it's great to browse the media visually, but the shots have been lined up end to end. And you can see here I've got 2 different shots lined up end to end. But that can make it hard to find shots that have been recorded at the same time, such as shots covering an important event, which is what news people deal with all the time. So we've added 2 new features to fix this. The first is called multi-source. It's a setting you can turn on, and it changes how this source tape works. It basically checks the time code on all the media, then displays any shots that line up in time side by side in a multi-view. So you can scroll and see the shots that match. And it makes it really easy to find multiple angles of the same event. So let me show you how that works. Now first I can select the multi-source button. We have a button on the panel for that, but we've also got, this is the button here, we've also got a button in the user interface here. So I can click that. And now you can see what it's done is it's changed it. Now it's changed the viewer and it's aligned the 2 shots in time. And wherever there's a match, I get a multi-view. So you can see both angles. Then I can edit them into the timeline. So let me just, before I do the edit, let me just go back and show you at the start here. You can see I only had 1 camera at the start here. And then the second camera started recording, and now it's turned it into a multi-view because they've lined up in time. So I can edit these. If I want to do an edit, I can select, say, camera 1. And I'll need to put an in and out point. So I'll put an in point, put an out point. Then I can append it into the timeline. Then I can go along and click on, and we can add the second angle by clicking on camera 2. I can add an in point, an output, append that. So you can see how nice it is. Now I've got 2 shots from different cameras of the same event, but it's dynamic. If a new shot arrives, it automatically updates and I can see it. So let's upload another shot. I've got the guys, we've actually recorded this with 3 cameras. So if we can upload the 3rd camera file, guys, and we'll let it come in. So we shot this on 3 cameras, but we only uploaded the 2. But we're now uploading the 3rd camera, so it'll automatically appear in the sync bin and we'll automatically see it. It'll appear in the multi-view, and that shot should arrive any second. So, oh, there it goes. And so you see it's just appeared. So it's in the bin and it's now in the multi-view. So I can see I've got a 3rd shot. So I can scroll it a bit. See, there it is. So it's cool. So using the milk. And let's add that shot to our edit. So we'll select camera 3. There it is. We'll put an out point and we'll append that. So this all just happens in seconds. It's so cool. That shot came in from Blackmagic Cloud. And you can really see how fast you can edit and get shots into an edit. It's so fast. You can actually see the camera original hasn't come in yet because I've got the purple bar on there. So it's pretty cool. Now, of course, I can do this all on the panel. In this case, I just hold down the camera numbers and I can use the search dial to load in. So let me show you how that works. It's even cooler. So, and this is nice about having the buttons along here now. So I can just add some of camera 1 and some of camera 2 and some of camera 3. And it's so cool, you know, it's great. Now these edits are all on append, but if you want to insert the shot, then you just go right onto the edit point and it'll insert it in the edit point there. But if you press the insert key while you're in multi-source, then it'll actually shift the timeline CTI to the closest edit point right on it. And then when you use the live override, it'll put it in as an insert, but only if you're in multi-source on all cams. Now, if you're on top of a clip, then it'll be a place on top. So you can actually modify how those clips go into the timeline. Now, there's another new cut page tool for fast editing as well, and it's called point of interest. Now, the point of interest is not a marker, but we have improved markers in DaVinci Resolve 19. They're a lot better, and even they're better on the panel. But point of interest is different. It's not connected to a timeline or a clip in any way. It's just time-based. It's basically a point in time. It's like a bookmark. So once you have set a POI, DaVinci changes how it's edited. So let's set a POI, and I can show you. So we'll scroll along here, and I'll set a POI. Now, I've got a POI key, but there's also one on the user interface here. So there's my POI. Now DaVinci knows the point you're interested in. It can do a lot of editing features with the POI. Now you can see I've only got one POI here because I've set multi-source and all those clips are lining up in time. But let's turn off multi-source so you can see the media sequentially again. So I'll turn it off there. And now you can see that we have a POI in each clip because now they're sequential. And the timeline also has POIs. You can see along the timeline down here, you can see the point of interest on the clips there as well because they match the POI time. Now let's turn the multi-source back on. I'll do it on the panel. So POI is a great way of seeing an important event. You can even do things like if I go to the timeline and scroll along and I slip the clip, you can see how the POI, the clip's sliding within that area. So it's pretty cool. So the POI is always a clip time. There's also a POI palette in the interface here. And it lets you set a specific date and time for a POI. Now, the point of interest doesn't need media. It can be any time or date. So if something happens, you can set the POI time, like say something in the future. So then when the clips arrive, you can see which ones match the POI because there's an indicator as well as in the clips. So there's a lot of other really nice new features in the cut page. But the most exciting is the replay features. They're really cool. So let's check out replay now, and we can see what we've done to make replay work in DaVinci Resolve. Now, it could have been a separate app. We could have just done a replay app. But I think adding it to DaVinci Resolve makes it much more powerful because you get replay combined with really powerful editing. And it's not just simple playlists, which is what replay systems have. So let me really describe how this works. So basically, I've got a rack here with all this stuff in it set up for replay. So it's basically storage-centric. So what I'm doing is I'm recording to a Blackmagic Cloud store. Now I've got 8 HyperDeck Studio recorders in here. And they've got some new software that we've got for the HyperDecks to allow network recording. So they record all directly to this network storage. Now I've actually set up each HyperDeck Studio record into the same folder on the Blackmagic Cloud store here, although each deck is actually recording into a separate ISO folder that I've got within that folder. And I've also set each HyperDeck to have a separate unique camera ID. And then I've also got this DaVinci Resolve system connected to in this computer, connected to the cloud store as well. So this will be doing the playback. This DaVinci Resolve is basically managing the playback side, which is connected to the cloud store. So it's really that simple. So let's do a replay. Now, the new replay features are controlled by a new replay palette, which is up the top here. This is it here. So you can click that, and there's my replay palette. So it's pretty simple. Now, it allows really fast shot selection and playback to air. You can also sequence multiple shots, and then you can transfer those replays to the timeline. So then other people can do post-production work. Now, it's got the replay controls, which is cue, run, and dump. Because playing to air is different. It changes the way the video hardware works. So playing to air is different than normal playback. Now, I can show you what that means, but first let's create a new project because we'll do all our replay into a new project. Oops, cancel, I'll do it from here. I want to do it local. do that. Now, in the palette, there's an add to timeline selection, which I'll turn on. So anything we do between the run and the dump will be added to the timeline. So I've turned that on so we can see how that works once I've created a replay. Now, the palette also has an indicator for the playback speed up here, and it's also the time remaining in the replay. Now, what we need to do is get the to get the replay to work, I need to start recording on these hyperdecks here. So I'll come across and start recording on the hyperdecks. So if you can just track over, it's pretty easy. There we go. So all the remote controls are daisy chained, so I only need to record on the first deck, and then all the other decks will go into record. Now, the cloud style monitoring will show the data being written, if you can check that out. Now, I've got all the decks to record in ProRes 422, and I'm recording HD at 1080p 50. Also, the media I'm recording is a cooking show, which is just, I'm doing a simple demo here. No one would obviously use a cooking show for a replay unless someone got horribly burned, but it works for this demo, so I can show you how it all works. Now, I have DaVinci Resolve's video output connected to the ATEM switcher. It's an Ultra Studio 4K Mini that's been updated to support replay. Now, the fill and key output is connected to the ATEM downstream keyer. So this helps with automation. So I should obviously turn this key on there, and I'll go to a different input there, and that should be good. So I'm on air with that keyer. Now the replays will use the downstream key, so it should be cool. So now we've started the recording, we need to load the media into the bin. So DaVinci Resolve can actually read these files even while they're being written now. That's another update for DaVinci. So let's load the media into the bin. So I've got to go, there's my record media. So I'll load that. I'll change my project frame rate. There it all is. Now we can visually browse all our media by going through it all. And we can use the source button for that, which I'm doing there, which is pretty cool. Now you can see all the media sequentially like that, but we don't really want to do that. So we're using the new multi-source feature because we want to see all the what the hyperdecks are recording. And so we want to see it in a multi-view and all aligned in time. So we've got that. Now you can see all your cameras at once. It's pretty cool. You can scroll the viewers. Actually, I'll enlarge the viewer a bit. And I can even play the views. So there they are there. This is really cool because this is way more powerful than a traditional replay system that can't do all that. And I can also select different views. So I can switch between cameras. So it's really cool. But 8 cameras is actually a lot for replay. I'll go back to all cams. It's a bit hard to track. So most people only do about 4 cameras for replay. So let's change it to 4 cameras. And it's really easy to do because you can customize it by using what's in the bin. So what I'll do is I'll remove 4 of the cameras we don't want, even while they're still being recorded, because we just want to use the 4. So let's go back to our bin here. Actually, no, I want to go under there. So all we have to do is really get rid of these folders. Okay. Now when I go back to the multi-source, I only see the 4 views. So you have the 4-way multi-view. So now I can scroll the cameras, go down the back a bit. And I can switch between the specific cameras, of course, and go back. And I use the keyboard number keys for that. So you can really see how nice it is to navigate. It's really easy to see the cameras. Now the current multi-view is also, this viewer multi-view is also on the video output, so the director can see what you're doing. So you can navigate into cameras and show people things. So it's quite cool. And you can also see over on the bin over here, I've got icons on the files to show that they're actually currently being recorded into, which is really cool. So that's you can see which clips are the live recordings. Also, the media in the viewer here is growing. You can see it actually bumping along as the recordings are getting longer because DaVinci's actively watching the files grow because this media in here is increasing in length. It's pretty cool. So it's kind of weird to see it doing that. So now let's do a replay. So the first thing I want to do is switch the video input. So I can do there. Now what I'm doing is I'm watching a live multi-view from the ATEM switcher because there's no latency and I get a live view of the action so I can wait for an event to happen. So when something happens, I'll use the POI for that. So what I'll do is I'll grab a POI. So when I do the POI on the video input, it'll actually grab the POI from the timecode source on the video input. because I want to mark something that's happening now. So the timecode input is actually the most accurate POI time. So when I set the POI, a whole bunch of stuff will then happen. Now, what will happen is it'll grab the POI from the timecode on the input, then it'll switch back to the viewer and it'll go to that POI. And the media will have just come in at that point because obviously the viewer side has still got the media appearing. Now I went to input view on this keyboard here, but there is actually a button for input view in the replay palette, which I can't see because I'm on the input view. So what will happen is the viewer will be queued to that POI time. So let's wait for something interesting to happen. So she just puts the plate down on the bench so I can set the POI. So what's happened is that happened really fast. So what it did is it basically switched across. I set the POI, switched across to the viewer, and then it set the viewer position to the POI time just there. So it's queued to the POI. So it's pretty cool. Actually, that you can see it there. I'll just point to it. There's my mouse. See, just there. So you can see, and of course that's moving to the left because there's media growing on the right-hand side there. So it's pretty cool. Now, there's also an indicator to show me how far away from the POI I am, which is really kind of important. So if I scroll back, I can see, I'll use jog because I'm scrolling there, but you can see I'm 4, 5, 6 seconds away from the POI time, which is pretty cool. That's called the POI offset indicator, and it updates as I scroll, and it shows how far away from the POI I am. And in fact, I can do it from both sides of the POI. See? I can show which side I'm on. So it's pretty cool. So to do the replay, obviously I've got to pick a camera. I think camera 2 is the best. So let's select camera 2. So there I am. And I can scroll a little bit. So I can now scroll just camera 2 or even 1. So you can see that point where they put the dish down was where the POI time is. So maybe I'll go back 5 seconds. I'll stay on camera 1 actually. And I can select any other cameras I want, different views. And that's all I need to do. So basically now I'm ready to play this shot to air. However, one of the problems is you don't want to do the replay immediately. The game could still be playing. The director wanted to have that ready as a replay, but not actually do that replay. Something else might happen. So I can switch back to the input view anytime I want. I know I've got that replay ready to go. So I can switch back to my input, the replay is ready. If nothing really interesting happens, I go back to the source by pushing source again, and I'm back here ready to go. So if they say they want to run the replay, I can just go back and play that to air by pushing the run button. Now there's a run button here, so I can push that. And now what's happened is something really interesting's happened. So you can see that the viewer has changed to a multi-view while I'm doing that, but the video output is playing camera 2. So you can see that happening now. That's a very important feature because what it allows us to do is shot sequencing. So I can review the next shot, which I can see now. I've got camera 1 is playing to air, but I might decide that I want to do camera 4. So what it lets me do is I can get really fast, I can get the first shot to air, and once that's playing, I can see the multi-view and see if I've got a different shot that I want to sequence to, because I'm watching a multi-view on the viewer here. And I can see how, camera 4 looks good. So what I want to do is I want to decide I want to run that camera 4 next as my second shot. I don't need a second replay channel to do this. I can just do it from here. So while the first shot's playing, when I play to where the run, the viewer is always a multi-view. And the output, video output, it's the full frame camera. Now, the reason this works is because of the POI. DaVinci knows what I'm interested in. It knows where the POI is. I've played a fair way past it at this point. So while I'm playing, so I can scroll back to before the POI, and while I'm playing the first camera, which is what it's doing now, I'm going to switch back to camera 4. So let's do that. So to do that, what I'll do is I'll select 3 seconds. So I'll basically press and hold a time key, which will be 3 seconds, and then I'll press camera 4. And what it'll do is it'll jump back 3 seconds before the POI and change to camera 4 on the program video app while that happens. So let's do that. So there's 3 seconds there, and I'll push camera 4. And now what it's done is it's jumped back, and you see she's put the plate down, and I can basically jump back and forth between the 2 cameras so you can see it, which I can do, and that'll repeat what I'm doing. So you can kind of see how this works, because you've got to do it a few times and you'll start to see what I'm doing. So what I'll do is I'll push 3 seconds, and I'll jump back and forward. See where she puts the plate down? That's camera 1, and that's camera 2 while she's moving out of the shot there. But you can see all I have to do is push the camera button, and it'll go back 3 seconds before the POI. And the same thing, because I'm doing the same amount of time and we're just switching between these 2 cameras, makes it a bit easier to see what's happening. It's quite interesting, isn't it? Of course, I can do the same thing with other cameras. So that's basically doing an auto shot sequencing. So it's pretty cool. It makes it really easy to do a multi-shot replay. The switcher operator is not even distracted by any of the replays. The replay operator can do the whole replay. They can manage the whole thing. Plus, we can add transitions. So I was using cuts here. So let's use dissolves. So normally these keys, the dissolve keys down here, they add a transition. But when you're playing to air, they change. They become a transition enable. So what we can do, it's really nice to see. So I can turn on dissolve and I can do some of these. Now it'll do a dissolve between the cameras. It's pretty cool. And then I can, this is so nice to use. And of course I can stop the replay at any time. Now we do that by pressing the dump button. So let's do that. There it is, now it's finished. So it's gone back to the switcher source that was, because it's turned off the keyer. So you might have noticed that the clips in the timeline have appeared. So I can switch to the timeline now and scroll along, and I was talking a fair bit at the front there. Sorry, go there. So I can go down here. So you can see I was doing a bunch of shots between the replays. And then I was talking a bit more. And then down here I was doing the transitions. So that's pretty cool. So that's because we had it set to add the replay to the timeline. So you can see everything that we did is now an edit. It watched what we did, and this could now become a social media post. I mean, not this obviously, but a real one. And you might want to add some graphics to the front and maybe change the aspect ratio, maybe a title cut, like a scorecard at the end. But I think it's really exciting. Now, what's important to sort of understand about the dump feature is kind of how the button works. It doesn't just stop playback to air like I just did there. It actually does more than that. It's intelligent. So it does define the end of a replay, but it won't just stop the replay instantly. What it'll do is if you're doing a transition, for example, like you were doing one of those dissolves here, you don't really want it to happen immediately. So what it'll do, it'll wait a few seconds because you don't want a bad edit. And then it'll finish the replay. Now you can still crash out if you hit dump multiple times. Just double press dump and it'll finish the replay. So you can crash out, but it's going to be a bit more elegant. It's a bit more intelligent than just immediately finishing. Okay, now let's check out auto stingers. So what I'll do is I'll turn off the add to timeline so we don't keep adding to the timeline. Now what we do is we'll load a stinger because we have a feature called auto stingers. So let me show you how that works. There's my stinger. There it is. So now the next step is to
Ладно,
turn on the
коллеги,
auto
у
stinger.
кого какие мысли по поводу все-таки
Now the auto
19
stinger's
да
on.
Винчи, а то
The stinger
Грант,
panel will
по-моему,
appear, and you
не
can load
остановится.
multiple stingers in here, and you can switch between them on the panel or on the front here.
Слушай,
Also, the
ну штуки,
timeline
которые
changes
показали,
to
очень
show that the auto
симпатичные,
stinger's
честно
turned on.
говоря. Вот
You'll see
хочется
some
уже
indications there. So
потискать
let's load
за
stinger one. So we'll go
ползуночки.
into our stinger,
Вот.
load it
А,
in.
согласен.
There it is. Now
И
when I
я
do a
надеюсь, что они
replay on that
посмотрели
stinger,
наш с тобой стрим
now if there's
и
an alpha
такие,
channel in the
ладно,
stinger,
так и
it'll
быть,
output
сделаем
that
мы
before the
единицы
timeline starts to
миксера,
play.
раз они
That's
так
because the
хотят.
stinger starts to
Да,
play
кстати,
before the
удивило.
timeline media.
Такая вещь,
We'll
казалось
do
бы,
a pre-run.
банальная, и тут вдруг ее ни с того ни с сего ставили.
There we
Но меня
are.
больше всего удивило то, что они
And
дехансер
I'll
реально
set
просто
camera
взяли,
one.
полностью
So
запихнули.
the switcher basically will do the
Интересно
overlay
услышать
in the
комментарии
downstream keyer.
команды
So
дехансера.
once the stinger gets to the midpoint,
Ну,
it'll
помните, был
overlay
такой
the second half of
халейшн
the
в
stinger over the
DaVinci?
timeline clip. And it
Был.
does that
Я
also
боюсь,
at
что
the end
здесь
of the
будет то же
replay, but in
самое.
reverse.
Ну
So you
да.
actually get the alpha channel and the stinger coming through. So let's press run and we'll see how that goes, and you'll see the stinger. If I cut to the video out,
Не, ну, мне кажется,
you'll
с
see the
одной
stinger
стороны же
run.
логично,
There
что
it goes. It's
если
covered over the
это
live switcher output. There's
является
my
частью
replay.
звука,
Now I can switch to
то положить его
camera
туда,
4 again.
где именно сам звук. Ну, в
So when I
этот.
pressed dump, it then ran
Как я
the
понял, его
stinger
же
again. So
убрали
let's do it again.
из
It's quite
вкладки
cool.
Edit и запихнули в Fairlight.
There we
Это
go.
сейчас
There's
про
my stinger.
что, Руслан?
Про,
Here's
про
the camera.
шумодав.
А, про
Camera one.
шумодав.
Then I'll press dump,
Или нет? Или я что-то путаю сейчас?
and you'll see it.
Не, мы просто
Смотри, там просто
говорили
два
совсем
шумодава
про другое.
показали.
In the live video input from
Ну,
the
он, скорее
switcher.
всего, и там
And it
есть,
actually does all the
собственно говоря, как
work.
сейчас.
So the auto stinger is a very
Вот.
powerful feature.
Ну да.
It's basically like automation, like an automation script or kind of a macro built in. And the switcher operator doesn't need to
Мне
do
понравилось,
anything.
что
The
он начал
replay does
сначала
everything.
показывать про
The shot
волюметрики, про
sequencing and the
партиклы во
stingers.
фьюжене.
And you notice
А
I didn't
потом я
change the
понял,
downstream
что, в
keys
принципе, это
because when I
просто
run to air,
возможность
the alpha
затаскивать
channel
уже
does
готовые,
goes white and enables the
отчитанные
replay.
алембики
And also
и
it
с
also
ними
secures
как-то просто
for NAB,
взаимодействовать.
sets the
Я
main
сначала
HDR
удивился,
front
что вау,
key outputs
неужели
to black.
занесли
It also
какие-то
mutes the audio.
что-то такое
Also,
обновленное, но
the
я
auto
так понял,
stinger
что
doesn't
нет.
get added to the timeline
Не, ну
when
я
you
так понимаю, это
select add to
расширение
timeline
вот
because
работы
the
с этим,
timeline
с
will become an
USD
edit.
вот этими
So you just want your
моделями,
clips, you don't want all the
Да.
stingers and
которых
things in
там
there.
сейчас очень много
I can
разных,
also play
вот,
out a
то есть они
timeline
там
with auto
потихонечку
stinger
эту
as well.
поддержку туда
Because it's a
докидывают,
timeline, I can use the
чтобы
cue.
так
So you go
можно
back to
было
the
сделать,
start,
всяк можно было
and then when I
сделать.
press run,
Там интересная штука
it'll
вот
add
с
the
этим
stinger, and then now
Reference
it's using the
Fusion
timeline as a
Composition.
replay.
Насколько я понимаю,
Да,
это что-то
кстати.
типа, да, преднастройки. Вот, что-то типа как в After Effects сделано. Что ты можешь
Мне,
какую-то
знаешь,
референсную
кажется,
поменять, вот, и у тебя везде все поменяется. Вот в чем
да.
прикол.
Мне, знаешь, кажется, что это какая-то штука очень похожая на ремоут режим, как на страничке Color. У меня такое ощущение создалось.
Ну, нет, но это скорее вот как вот ты можешь вот в After этом композицию расставить условно по местам, потом в одном месте композицию поменять, у тебя везде все поменяется. Раньше так было сделать нельзя,
Ага,
поскольку у тебя
окей.
каждая композиция на таймлайне становится индивидуальной после того, как ты ее туда добавил. Вот. А тут, я так понимаю, что у тебя есть режим вот этот референсный, то есть, например, ты можешь там сделать, например, какие-то, наверное, текстовые блоки, то, что хотели давно, поменять шрифт, у тебя он поменяется.
Кстати, а что там про текст плюс показал? Я что-то не догнал.
Ну, какой-то расширенный контролер, я так понимаю, для edit. Ну, тоже там как-то
Модифайеры
Дарья
вытащили
очень
на
быстро
edit?
пробежалась. Там, в принципе, все это и так было вообще, то, что показали.
Не, ну
Просто,
только, видимо, модифайеры вынесли на edit.
ну, наверное, да, что-то такое.
Только я их не увидел, я увидел только во вьювере.
Ну, это уже надо смотреть, потому что про это прям совсем прям пробежались, типа, мы тут кое-что добавили, идем дальше. Ну, то есть это-
Да, про DaVinci они вообще как-то очень,
То есть вот
очень
Грант
мало
тут уже,
рассказали, при том,
уже
что
полчаса или минут 40 рассказывает, как классно работать в кат.
мультиками, да. Ужас, очень странно. Ну,
Да не, ну
знаю,
слушай,
как
там
это
сейчас
тонкие.
всех блогеров созвали. Я думаю, сейчас вот презентация закончится, и мы в течение там часа увидим кучу на Ютубе роликов с обзорами. Вот я думаю, у всех
Ну да,
ранний доступ
надеюсь,
был,
так.
как бы, и все это покажет. Каждый про какую-то свою часть расскажет. Вопрос,
Я
когда
пока
они
не понял,
слезут
как
на-
слои работают в Color, и что это вообще такое.
Да, да,
Они
это
так об
тоже
этом
непонятно.
сказали
Да.
быстро, вообще ничего не понятно.
Интересно. Но зато добавили рульку Density, которую так многие
Не, ну я так
любят.
понимаю, то, что вот сейчас Дарья показала, вот у них такие стандартные ролики, которые вот короткие, ну типа как про обновление. То есть
Презентация, да.
вот у нас там есть вот это, вот это, вот это. То есть оно не подразумевает какого-то глубокого погружения. Да это сейчас все будет. Сейчас сами все
Дарья
покажут.
звучала как нейронка на Дарье научная. У нее
Меня
такой
пока
ров
больше
звучал.
всего
она так-
впечатлил трекинг Fairlight. Честно
Да.
говоря.
Я тоже был шокирован. Так, паблик бета. При.
Да.
Все, качаем?
Ебой.
Реплей эдитор $500. Дим, покупаем? Заказываем? Реквизит для съемок.
Which helps replay when using the keyer and the switcher. There's also an update for
Или на нем
all new
собираемся,
Hyperdeck
да.
Studio models that adds the network recording.
Так, ну что,
And
неужели
that'll
без
be
панелек
Hyperdeck
оставили колористов?
9.4.
Без
Now, all these
обновлений?
updates are free of charge, and so you can just go and download these updates and get the new features. So keep an eye out for them. There's also another interesting Hyperdeck feature that I haven't talked about yet. We haven't had time really to demo because I thought that was probably long enough. Now, we've been working on the Hyperdeck Extreme 8K to add 4 channels of recording into it. So it means you can record 4 channels of Ultra HD on a single deck. And if you put 2 of them in a rack side by side, that's 8 channels in only 3 rack units in size. So I think that'll be a really nice update. So it'd be worth keeping an eye on it. Now, when it comes to the playback of the video here that we were doing, Ultra Studio 4K Mini is not really designed for the job. It's basically a general capture and playback solution. So it has lots of video ins and outputs, but it's not really designed for the replay. It doesn't support fill and key in 10-bit at the highest Ultra HD 60 frames a second. So what we've done is we've decided to design a product dedicated for replay. And the reason is the way kind of broadcasters work. If you look at a broadcast van or a studio, the equipment's all built in. The monitors are installed in the control room. So you don't really want monitors on desks, especially in broadcast trucks. They'll just fall over. So what we really needed to do was design something that allows a better and capture playback product, but designed for broadcast use. And we've done that. It's called Blackmagic Media Player 10G. It's a Thunderbolt capture and playback solution, but it's designed for broadcast playback. Now, it has a lot of features, and we'll check it out. I've got some slides. Now, on the front panel, we've got the LCD for status, and there's a headphone socket and a speaker and an enable button. But there's also Thunderbolt on the front. So you can actually install this into a control room desk and walk right up and plug into that socket on the front. Now, that's great if you're using a laptop. Now, it'll also power the laptop. So this is really cool because you can set up the laptop any way you want. You just walk up and plug in with a single cable. So it's really cool. Now, the rear connections I've got a slide for. Shows you what you get. Now, the first is the power connection. It's AC power.
Now, next to that's a Thunderbolt connection on the back as well, so you can use the front or the back, depending on how you're installing the computer or if you're using a laptop. So obviously the one on the back is used when like maybe the computer's in a rack. There's also 10G Ethernet. So what this means is your computer gets an Ethernet connection when you plug the Thunderbolt in, so you can access the network storage like we were doing here. Now at the top, there's a 12G SDI fill and key output. Now these are the main 10-bit program outs. They go up to 2160p60 with fill and key in 10-bit. They're enabled when you're playing back to air, and they're muted when they're off air. Both the audio and the video is muted. So that means you can use a downstream keyer, and then playback the alpha channel will automatically enable the playout when you run a playout using the run button. Now we've also added a 12G SDI input. Now this is obviously where you connect the multi-view from the switcher for replay, so you need that input. And Blackmagic desktop video products are bidirectional, which is the driver that works with this. So you can input video, you could process it and output at the same time. So you can use this for like various kinds of computer-based processing engines. So if you wanted to use some AI code or something for broadcast, you could do that. So it's not just obviously for DaVinci, but it's for all kinds of broadcast use. Now next to that, if you look at the back panel, you'll see we've got a 12G SDI output and HDMI outputs, and that's for an extended desktop. So this makes the computer think that it's got an extended desktop, which means that the UI monitor can also be built into the control room desk. So this is like for the DaVinci Resolve user interface. And there's also a USB there, which is also a USB port added to the computer, so you can have a local mouse and keyboard. So it's pretty cool. You basically get everything for the extended desktop and everything in the one. But we also have an additional monitor output, and that's 12G SDI and HDMI. Now that's the same video as the fill and key output, but it's never muted. And that's what you'd run into your edit monitor so you can keep editing. So you always get video, you always get sound on that. And that's where you connect your video monitor first. You can keep working while your on-air output is muted, but this is your live output that's always there. Now 12G SDI, it's great when you're connecting to routers and SDI monitors, but HDMI is great for a local computer monitor. It's great to have both options on both of those connectors. And we also have a balanced XLR audio monitoring outputs, which is great for like powered speakers. And lastly, there's a broadcast style RS-252 remote input that uses standard deck control protocol. And that allows a remote control of the connected software. So this is where you could get, like automation systems controlling DaVinci and maybe playing to air directly. So that's something broadcasters need. So you get all these connections with a single Thunderbolt cable. Plus it keeps your computer charged. So it's really cool. So replay and graphics operators can use their own computer. They can have all their own preferred settings and titles and stingers, and they just roll up on a job and plug in. So they can set up offline. They can, even at home, they walk up, they plug in, and it connects, and everything's ready to go. The whole system is connected through that one Thunderbolt cable. So like all Blackmagic Decklink and Ultra Studio products, there's an SDK, so developers can create their own custom solutions, and that's a free download. Now, I think this is a great new model. The new Blackmagic Media Player will be priced at $995. We expect it to be available in July, which is a little later than the other products, but after doing some replay work, we actually had to make some design changes, so we kind of rearranged the back panel. So it's a much better product now, and it's perfect for all kinds of media broadcast, playback. It's really the ultimate broadcast breakout box for laptop and desktop computers, so it's pretty cool. So now I want to talk about storage. So this replay solution is great, but it really depends on the storage. The storage has to be really fast, has to handle a lot of record channels all at the same time, plus you need to connect DaVinci Resolve all at the same time. So what we've done is we have the rack mount Cloud Store Mini, and that's a fantastic little network storage product. There's a newer 16 terabyte model we released a couple of weeks ago, which can be used for replay. And I've used it for Ultra HD, but it's only got a single 10G Ethernet port. So that 10G Ethernet port can get overloaded pretty quickly. So we wanted something with high performance, something with a lot more speed and storage capacity. And that's important when you're running Ultra HD. So we have a new model of Blackmagic Cloud Store. It's called Blackmagic Cloud Store Max, and it's even faster than the Cloud Store Mini. Let me show you. I'll bring it out. So you can see, here it is here. Let's put it on the desk. So you can see it's got an LCD on the front there, so you can get a shot of that with the camera. So the Cloud Store Max comes in two capacities. There's a 24 terabyte model and a larger 48 terabyte model. Now internally, it's actually got 12 M.2 flash memory cards in a RAID 0 configuration, so it's extremely fast. All those cards work in parallel for incredible speed and very low latency. I mean, you can see the low latency we're doing when we're doing the replays there. So let's check out the back. This is where it gets really interesting. So here you can see that we've got AC power connection, and we've also got a broadcast DC backup power supply connection. We've got a QSFP socket, which allows 100G Ethernet into this, so it's very fast. It's very quiet. It's got quiet fans. So of course, see with that socket, you can use optical fiber or copper cables. It's also got the 410G Ethernet, so you can plug in recorders and workstations straight into the back if you want. Now, it's got some interesting monitoring. The monitoring is now both SDI and HDMI. SDI is nice because you can plug the monitoring into a router and keep track of what the storage is doing. I find that really nice, like we were showing before. When you started recording, you could see the speed to get a feeling for how heavily loaded the storage is. Or you can use the HDMI for a TV or a computer monitor. I think it's nice having the monitoring output. It's the same monitoring output the other Cloud Store models have. So it's got that storage map, the speed graphs, the number of active users, and the storage status. Plus, if it syncs to Blackmagic Cloud website, you can see the syncs in there. So it's really nice. And it does the global media sync now with obviously Blackmagic Cloud. So each DaVinci Resolve user doesn't need to use storage on their own computers. If you're doing post-production, they can just use this as a storage or like a work group storage-centric thing. It understands the proxy, so it'll bring those down first. So I think this model will be extremely useful. It allows replay and high-resolution frame rates, but it's a great, fantastic core of a whole post-production film production system as well. Now, the great thing about our cloud stores is we don't do any subscriptions to use them. It's private storage, so it's secure. It's a very simple utility to maintain it. You don't have to use a weird website, so you can get it off the internet. And obviously, the software that comes with it's a free utility for Mac and Windows. So I think this is a really great new model. It's really nice. Now, the new Blackmagic Cloud Store Max 24 terabyte will be priced at $6,495. And we also have this larger capacity one, which is 48 terabyte. And that's called the Blackmagic Cloud Store Max 48 terabyte. And it'll be priced at $9,995. So that'll be available in May. Now, we have some really big, powerful updates for Blackmagic Cloud this year. This is for obviously large broadcasters, but also for high-end post-production. We've been working really hard on these features. Now, one of the features is rental licenses, and this is for the full DaVinci Resolve Studio. Now, I'm not a big fan of paying for cloud licenses for creative software. It locks up the archive of your work unless you keep paying, but large customers need it. They can't purchase software because they can't manage the licenses. Plus, large companies have complex accounting departments. They don't want to buy licenses because they've got to manage them as assets. They've got to manage where they are, dongles and license keys. So what they do is they need to cost the license cost against the show or the film. So rental licenses are also faster to get up and running. With rental licenses, you can spin up 100 new licenses in seconds, and then they can cost those licenses against the show. They can cancel the licenses when the show's finished, or they can add and remove staff from as they like. So for large companies, rental licenses are actually quite simple. Now, the good thing about DaVinci Resolve is you can still buy it outright. So this means that the rental licenses really complement the paid licenses. You'll never have to worry about locking up your work. If someone assigns you a license via Blackmagic Cloud, then you don't need to enter the license key. You just enter your Blackmagic Cloud ID and the software will just work. And then, of course, if you don't have the license anymore, then you can just use a paid version. It's up to you. So I think that's the most flexible way we can do it while also making large customers happy. Now, to sort of help manage a lot of this stuff, we also have another new feature called organizations. Now, this lets you set up an organization and add staff. Again, it's something large companies need. Inside the organization, you can also then create groups. So the organization is your company, and then the group can be like a specific TV show or film or newsroom. Now, this has some big advantages because you can now share a project or a presentation with a whole group. You can share a rental license with everybody in a group. So everybody in a show would automatically get a DaVinci Resolve Studio license. So organizations is much faster than adding all people one at a time because you can define these large groups of people, and it's extremely powerful. And all the billing information in organizations is shown. So you can then get the costs for each group and you can assign that to a show. But one of the other big reasons for the organizations feature in Blackmagic Cloud is the single sign-on. These large companies have these IT departments that assign new staff an email address. And with organizations, you can now connect those systems to their single sign-in thing. So you can set up organizations manually just by going to the new Blackmagic Cloud organizations feature, but these large companies have these information systems where that information can come in from the IT system. So the organization and the groups would all be created automatically. And as they add new staff, they would come into the organizations automatically. And so it'll be really cool. Now, organizations will be available in the Blackmagic Cloud website in the next day or so. And for the single sign-on, at the moment, we're working with live customers directly with this. Now, we want to automate it in the future, but what we really want to do is make sure that we have compatibility with all these IT systems first. So any large customers that want to work with their single sign-in, they just contact one of our offices and we can get that to work. So it's really cool. Now, one of the other new features of Blackmagic Cloud is syncing to the Blackmagic Cloud stores, like this guy here. Customers are using these massive media files, and Google and Dropbox, Google Drive and Dropbox haven't really been handling it very well. So using Blackmagic Cloud to sync the files between the cloud stores is much better. You can sync the media globally, and there's no file size limitations. So it works much better. You know, it's our software running on both ends, so we can make it really fine-tune it. So to get this feature, look out for a new Blackmagic Cloud software update. It should be available in the next few days, and that'll actually then enable our Blackmagic Cloud stores and all the cloud stores to sync to the Blackmagic Cloud website. Okay, so now let's talk about cameras.
У нас еще камера
So
в
when we
конце.
originally developed our URSA Mini Pro, we took some risks with that design. We wanted to be a high-end digital film camera, but we wanted to add a lot of controls and features. We took a lot of ideas from broadcast cameras, funny enough, and we wanted it to be affordable. So we really wanted to use broadcast connections. And that was kind of a great idea until we launched our 12K sensor. And that was an extremely high-end feature film sensor, and the high-end film industry loved the sensor, but the camera body now became the limit. It didn't really have the correct film industry connections. It makes it really hard to add accessories used for film shoots. So we wanted to fix that. But also, we kind of thought a bit more deeply about it. We sort of started to think about what a new digital film camera might be. What if money was no object? What happens if, you know, in our past cameras, we've always worried about affordability. What happens if we didn't care about cost? What could we actually build? So the good thing is we had a lot of really good ideas. We had some really good project goals if money was no object. And we wanted to build our dream high-end digital film camera. We wanted to have everything we could have ever wanted. We wanted no limits on features and no matter what the cost was. And we also wanted to design a whole new generation of image sensor. And we wanted that camera to integrate into the whole post-production process, plus support global post-production workflows with Blackmagic Cloud. And we've done all that. The camera's called Blackmagic URSA Cine. So first, actually, though, I want to show you the new 12K sensors. And this is our second generation of Blackmagic Design designed 12K sensor. Let me make some space here. Give ourselves a bit of space to move. So you can see here it is here. So you can see the it's a full frame sensor. So that's the existing 12K sensor, an URSA Mini Pro 12K. That's the new sensor there. Now the sensor is natively 3x2 open gate. It supports a lot of different ratios and formats, from spherical and anamorphic lenses. It's got a massive 16 stops of dynamic range. That's the most of any Blackmagic camera by far. It's got larger photo sights than this sensor for better light collecting ability. And it's also got the symmetrical RGBW sensor design, so we can do in-sensor scaling. Now, the dimensions of this sensor are 35.64 millimeters by 23.32 millimeters, and the resolution is 12,288 pixels by 8,040 pixels. But we've also worked a fair bit on the color science on this new generation sensor. Now, we've actually added the DaVinci Resolve color science into the image sensor itself, which is really quite unique and quite revolutionary. You know, so the sensor pixel pitch and the color filter array is much denser and different to simple Bayer sensors. So the images are spectacular. It's kind of like a new type of film stock. You know, you get much better color reproduction. Plus, there's clear pixels in the color array, so you get better boost in sensitivity. And the higher resolution allows really smooth images with better handling of fine detail. So the images are just really high quality without being overly sharpened or harsh. Plus, you know, that excessive resolution gives you full RGB color at the delivery resolution, which is really nice. I'll put them back there. Kind of always feel weird touching sensors. It just feels wrong. Now, the color filter is also symmetrical. So like I was saying before, you can do in-sensor scaling without harsh aliasing. So now let's check out the camera. So I'll bring the camera out. Here it is here. So you can see it's a whole new design.
Да, все-таки достал из-под
Now the
полы.
lens mount, if you can get a shot of the front there, the lens mount includes the shims now for fast changeover when you're rigging the camera. And there's also both PL and EF locking lens mounts included with the camera. The camera has an optical low-pass filter installed, and it's been designed for the 12K sensor. Plus it has built-in ND filters with 2, 4, and 6 stop increments, and they're electronically controlled. Now the viewfinder attaches to the front with a small dovetail, so it's almost instantaneous to remove. I can show you there's a little lever here. So you flip
И
that
тебя
and then
потом в конце он
you can
панель
take it out.
достанет Advanced из-под полы.
Yeah. So it's really cool. It's all adjustable. Now the viewfinder connects with USB-C. That's a really good idea because USB-C has both power and really high-speed data. So it's a simple, thin cable, and it has the USB locking screw, so the cable won't come out. Now on the front, we've got all film connections. So I think if I can show you that there, you can see that shot there. It's got a 7-pin LEMO, external connector. It's a serial connection with 24-volt power and start and stop information. And that's for the camera control for focus motors. And it's also got a 3-pin Fisher RS connector with 24-volt power output. And that connector also has a pin to trigger the recording start and stop as well. So that's great for hand grips. Now there's 2 base plates to choose from, and they work with all the standard dovetail plates. There's the 90mm base plates included with the camera that also does 15mm, but we have a dedicated 15mm plate as well. Plus we've designed a whole bunch of accessories designed for the camera. This includes the viewfinder, the top handle, rails, shoulder mount, battery plate handles, everything. And the accessories have all been designed in the same style as the camera. So let me show you the side here. So the buttons are all backlit now. They don't make a sound when they're pressed, they're quiet. Now the external monitor here is now a color LCD, and there's a 5-inch LCD that fully rotates and folds back into the camera. So let me show you that. So you can see the screen there. It rotates, and it also folds back into the camera like that. So you see it's really cool. Now there's a high-speed memory module inside. You can see the memory module here. It's got basically cloud storage built in. You can remove it there. There it is there. Now this module is 8 terabytes inside, and there's 16 lanes of PCI Express going to this module. So it's extremely fast. And what it does, it eliminates all the problems with media cards. So let's check out the rest of the camera. I'll put this back in. Now there's a rear mount. Let's go around to the rear side here. So you can see that there. There's a rear mounted USB-C for recording to external discs. Let me get a shot of that. Is that okay? Now we've got 2 12G SDI video outputs, and they work in Ultra HD. So it means you can have 2 different monitors on set with different overlays on each monitor. Plus there's also a BNC timecode reference and sync input. So it's really great for syncing cameras on set. We've also got high-speed 10G Ethernet, and it gives you really fast access to the internal storage. So you basically, it's like a cloud store access. So what that means is you can plug a DaVinci Resolve system into the camera and color grade on set from the media inside the camera. It's awesome. But it syncs extremely fast to Blackmagic Cloud because obviously it's 10G Ethernet. Now the power input supports both 12 and 24 volt operation, and it supports multiple battery plates from different battery systems. So let's have a look across the top of the camera if we can get a shot there. So we've got these dual antennas. It's got extremely high-speed Wi-Fi built into it. So it lets you upload media from the cameras in real time without being tethered. Plus it actually has built-in SRT live streaming. So what you can do is you can live stream to clients off-site and they can watch you shoot. When again, it's our dream camera. So let's check out the other side. Actually, I should turn it on. I haven't turned it on. Let's turn it on. There's the power switch here. So the power's on very quickly because it runs Blackmagic OS. So what we can do is, I'll fold the screen in here. So we have this assist station on this side of the camera. Now we had this on the original URSA camera. It was really popular. So it's very nice to have it back. Now it has a sun shield here, so I can open up the sun shield. So it has that there. Plus you can remove it just by clipping it there. Now we've got quite a lot of new features on this screen. It includes the standard heads-up display plus menus. I can show you the menus. There it is there. But we also have a focus page here. So you can see it there. So it lets the focus puller see the lens and set markers, so we can add some markers. So there. It's a bit hard to use from the other side. And so as we change the focus, you can use them to set focus points. There's also space on this screen to add a bunch of new things. We're going to work with film crews and some of the more high-end customers over the next few months to add a few more features into this assist screen. We think we can go a lot more further with it. But again, because it's used by high-end film crews, we want to make sure we work with people to finish those screens. But I think we've got a lot of flexibility on that side to add all kinds of interesting features. Now, across the top of the camera here, we have 2 more USB ports, and you can see them there. And what that does, it allows us to add like USB expansion for like third-party accessories. And so there's a lot of expansion on the camera. Now let's talk about some of the camera specifications because that tells you what basically it can do. Now, as I mentioned, it had extremely fast processing. The media module supports 4 M.2 cards, and each M.2 card in the module has 4 lanes of PCI Express to it, which means that with the 4 cards, you get 16 lanes of PCI Express in total, which means it handles massive resolutions and frame rates. Then with the 10G Ethernet, you can access the module basically as like a DIT card built into the camera. As for resolutions and frame rates, at 12K open gate at 3x2, recording at 12K by 8K, it's up to 80 frames a second. At 12K 70x9, which is 12K by 6K, it can record up to 100 frames a second. Then at 12K 2.4 by 1 widescreen, which is 12K by 5K, it can record up to 120 frames a second. Then at 8K open gate 3x2, it can record up to 144 frames a second. At 8K 17x9, it can record up to 180 frames a second. At 8K 2.4 by 1 widescreen, it can record up to 224 frames a second. And it can also do 9K 3x2 and 6x5 formats for like Super 35 4perf. So it gives you a lot of compatibility with a lot of spherical and anamorphic Super 35 lenses, sorry. It can also handle like 9K 70x9 and 60x9 formats, which are similar to Super 35 3perf. It can also do 9K 2.4 by 1, which is similar to Super 35 2perf. So the large sensor can be scaled and cropped in a lot of different ways, so it's very flexible. Now for the post-production side of it, was one of the really important features of this camera. So we have the fast media module. We also have the fast 10G Ethernet on the back for upload of media from post-production. But the camera will also record HD resolution H.264 proxies. At the same time, it records 12K Blackmagic RAW. So it'll sync to Blackmagic Cloud using fast Wi-Fi or 10G Ethernet, and those proxies will go up really quickly. Now, the Blackmagic Cloud website will then distribute those files to everybody else in the post-production teams. Now, we have a 3-bay rack-mountable Blackmagic Cloud, media dock designed for editing and color correcting from those modules. So it means you can offload, the media card offload time is reduced because you can basically move the modules out of the camera and place the modules in the camera. So I think it'll be pretty cool. So it really is an amazing camera. I'd love to show you a quick video that we shot with it, and it sort of shows you the results you can get. Plus it shows you some of the behind the scenes action. We had 2 URSA Cine 12K cameras on this shoot. So let's play the video. So as you can see, this is a revolution in high-end digital film. It's been specifically designed for this. There's been no expense spared in designing it. We really wanted to break ground in new technology, new sensor design and post-production workflows. It's our dream camera. So it does mean it's quite a bit more expensive than you'd expect because it's such a high-performance camera. But it does come with a kit and a road case. It includes the top handle and the shoulder mount. It comes with a PL lens mount. It also includes a lockable EF lens mount. And it also does include an 8 terabyte media module. And there's also a battery plate installed. Plus there's an AC power supply installed as well, included as well. But you can change the battery plate to different battery systems if you like. So the new Blackmagic URSA Cine 12K will be priced at $14,995. So we're building the initial cameras now. However, this is a very high-end camera, so we'll initially ship to a small number of select DOPs. We want to make sure we spend a few weeks checking that we've got all the software features we need, plus all the film accessories work well. And then we'll increase production as we work with those high-end customers. We also have a separate kit that includes a viewfinder. So it's in a slightly larger road case and includes all the features that you get with the other kit, but it includes the viewfinder and all the viewfinder mounting hardware. Plus it includes the USB-C cables. And there's two different lengths, like options for mounting the viewfinder. The one we've got here, plus an extension arm, like a long extension arm that extends out if you want to move the viewfinder away from the camera. Now this kit is called Blackmagic URSA Cine 12K plus EVF. And the cost for this kit will be $16,495. But the viewfinder can be purchased separately for $1,695. Plus there's a whole lot of other accessories available for the camera. Includes battery plates and handles and grips and lens mounts. And all these accessories have been designed to match the URSA Cine style. So it's really an amazing camera. It's just incredible to shoot with. I can't wait to take one out for myself and just have some fun with it. Now we've also, I mentioned just before that we built a media dock for the URSA Cine. It's very similar to a Blackmagic Cloud dock, but those are SSDs, the U.2 discs. But this dock can handle 3 URSA Cine media modules. So let me show you. I'll bring the product out. There it is there. I'll move this over a little. There it is. You can really see how nice it looks. Let me check out the back and you can see how the back works. Now it's quite similar to the, you can get a shot there. It's quite similar to the Blackmagic Cloud dock. You get dual internal power supplies with redundant AC connections, and the storage can be the core of a whole post-production system. So you really need those redundancy power supplies to make sure it stays up. You get 4 10G Ethernet connections for connecting workstations. Normally you'd connect one to an Ethernet switch, but having 4 means it makes building a DOT card much easier. And you can also connect one to the internet. And another port could be connected to a DaVinci for on-set grading. So having 4 ports is really useful, I think. Plus there's a USB port for upgrades. And our Blackmagic Cloud Store monitoring display output is on there as well. So you can see all the cloud, like you can see the storage status, which is really nice. So let me show you how it works. So I'll bring it around here and I can connect some power. So if you can get a bit of a shot of the front there, you'll see the media modules can be read by the dock when I plug the power in. So you can see there the fan spins up and it'll then start to talk to the modules. And it'll quiet down. Now it's booted, so it's running Blackmagic OS, so it booted really quickly. Now it's gone quiet again. So you can see the modules will then get checked out and then they're available over the network. So to remove a media module, they're really easy. Just click the little line there and the module comes out. In fact, what's really happening when you open that, it brings the module offline. As soon as you click that, the module goes offline and all the storage disconnects from it so that they can be pulled out safely. And then when I plug it back in again, I can then just click it back in and you'll see the LED ring illuminate as it accesses the media module. So it's checking the media and mounting it over the network. And so now anyone can connect to it. Now the LED ring is green for read and red for write. And this media dock's really useful to have. It means the media can be accessed immediately. Even though URSA Cine has 10G Ethernet, you can plug your camera into the network and access all the media on it. Like this is the Cloud Store. Having the dock is much more practical. It makes it much easier to back up the modules because it's so incredibly fast. Now this new Blackmagic media dock will be priced at $1,995. It's starting production, so it should be available in a few days. We also have a cover for the Blackmagic media module, which I'll bring out. I might turn the camera off. There's no point wasting power. So it allows you to protect the media module when it's in transit. See, it's got foam on the inside and it protects the module. They cost only a few dollars. And that'll be included with the Blackmagic It includes, the cover's included with the module when you buy the module. And we have both 8 terabyte and 16 terabyte versions of the media modules. In fact, the Blackmagic media module 8 terabyte will cost $1,695, and that's pretty much available now. There'll also be a Blackmagic media module 16 terabyte version that'll be available soon. However, as I mentioned, all the URSA Cine cameras include a Blackmagic media module 8 terabyte with them, so you can start shooting immediately. Now, there is something else about URSA Cine I wanted to tell you about. We've been working on an even more advanced sensor. It won't be available until the end of the year, but I think it'll sort of explain what a technical advance URSA Cine really is. So let me show you. It's I'll bring it out. Here it is here. There it is there. In fact, I'll get the current 12K camera sensor. So if you can get a shot there, there it is. So it's a 17K sensor, and that's the current 12K sensor for an URSA Mini Pro. Now it's a full 65mm in size, so you can see it there compared against the original sensor. You can really see how big it is. Now it's 50.808 millimeters by 23.316 millimeters. It's a similar size as a 70mm 5-perf film. It has the same photo sites as the new full-frame 12K sensor. So this larger size means the sensor is 17K. Its resolution is actually 17,520 pixels by 8,040 pixels. It has 16 stops of dynamic range. So let me show you how the camera, I'll bring it out. Here it is. There it is there. It's called URSA Cine 17K. I'll turn it on. So you can see it's very similar to the 12K, but the 12K was designed to handle the 17K speed. So both of these models were developed at the same time. So it's pretty cool. It's got such a large sensor, we need some new lens mounts. So we have the LPL and the Hasselblad lens mounts. And URSA Cine 17K will include both. Let me take off the lens so I can show you the sensor. Well, I probably should turn it back off again. So take off the back box, and you can see down into the sensor. I've got these sensors out here. So if you get a shot down there, you can see that there. You can see it's a very large sensor. Now this model doesn't have ND filters built in because the sensor's so large, the filters don't fit. Otherwise, the features are the same. So it's an amazing camera. Now it won't ship until close to the end of the year because the lead times are so long and we're still working on tweaking the software. But I think it'll be really exciting to shoot with it. Imagine if every film could be shot in IMAX style resolutions without it being a complex process. And that's our dream, is to make high resolution shooting really easily. We're on the verge of a whole new viewing experience for customers. I don't know why cinemas still use projectors. I think they should use high resolution LED screens. It'd be a lot better. So I think as far as cost goes, we're not exactly sure what the price of this will be yet. It'll obviously be a lot more than the 12K model, but we should know more towards the end of the year what the price is. Okay, so now I'd like to come back to more portable cameras. So we have another new camera today. So recently we launched the Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K, and it was very well received. The image quality is really nice and it's very affordable. But it wasn't the only camera we're designing. The Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K is really the sort of low-cost handheld model, but we're also working on another model. Now it's called Blackmagic Pyxis 6K. Let me show you. It's a box or a cube camera style. It has the same image sensor and color processing as the Blackmagic Cinema Camera 6K. So both cameras can be used together on a shoot because they'll absolutely match perfectly. I mean, all the cameras can match really well, but they're actually the same sensor. Otherwise, it's actually quite a different camera internally. It's very customizable. It's also a full-frame digital film camera, but in a box-style design. It's got a 24 by 36 millimeter 6K sensor and includes an optical low-pass filter as standard, and the optical filter's been tuned to match the sensor. So it's really cool. Now, it has a wide dynamic range of 13 stops. It has 2 CF Express cards for storage. It also has Ethernet, so it can sync to Blackmagic Cloud. And it also records Blackmagic RAW with H.264 HD proxies. So let's have a look at some of the details. Now I have a rigged version here, so I'll move this aside and bring out the rigged one. So you can see it's fully compatible with all the URSA Cine accessories. So it's really cool. It has everything for high-end or low-end work. Like you can do high-end films, you can do independent films, music videos, documentaries. It's just fantastic. It's an amazing design. It's all machined actually from aircraft-grade aluminum.
Обратили внимание,
That means it's
что
really
там можно ее
strong
на бок
when
ставить,
you got
чтобы
things
сразу
mounted on
рилсы
it.
снимать.
And it has these flexible side plates for different accessories, which is an incredibly adaptable design. So let me show you the front. So I'll remove the lens. You can see there. So you can get down in there and have a look. It's got a great sensor. It's full frame 35mm, open gate 3x2. It allows really shallow depth of field, so it's got the full height for anamorphic. The sensor resolution's 6048 by 4032, so it handles a lot of different film formats. It's got the 13 stops of dynamic range, so it preserves a lot of shadow and highlight detail. It's got the color Generation 5 color science, which has got really rich cinematic images, plus a 12-bit camera encoding for wide dynamic range. It's really nice. It's got a real natural film response to color adjustments and accurate skin tones. It can shoot up to 120 frames a second when it's windowed. It's got 2 native ISO settings there, 400 and 3200. And you get up to 25,600 ISO. So it's even very clean when you're shooting in low light. So I'll put the lens back on. So the front has the USB-C for the viewfinder, and there's also a mini XLR audio input there, if you can get a shot there, for phantom power. Plus you can plug, it's a microphone input with 48 volt for phantom power, plus you can plug the microphone in there. Now let's check out the other side of the camera here. You can see it's got the LCD, it's got a 4-inch touchscreen, so the camera runs Blackmagic OS. So let's use all the features in Blackmagic OS, and it's the same size LCD as the URSA Mini Pro, but it's brighter. So it's better in daylight. Even has 3D lookup tables, which also come on the monitoring out. It has the heads-up display for status and record parameters, and you can touch the controls to adjust them. It also has a digital slate, so you can tag files with metadata for post-production. But there's also a bunch of direct controls on the side there for all the important controls, such as a dedicated button for ISO, white balance, and shutter. Plus, there's also a scroll wheel for iris adjustment, which is really useful. So an LCD is great, but all these controls can be used by feel, these manual controls, so they're really nice to have. There's also some custom assignable function keys in there as well. And you can set those buttons up for whatever functions you like. It's all done through the menus. And then, of course, there's the big, large red record button. Plus, there's buttons for high frame rate, focus, zoom, and grabbing stills and accessing the menus as well. So it's really cool. Actually, I'll turn it on. Switches on the back there. And I can bring the menus up. There it is there, see? So you can see the menus. You can get a shot of that there. Now, on the other side, we have these custom side plates there. And if I can grab, one of the guys could bring over the cheese plate one. Now, the camera's designed to be rigged, so we're never really quite sure. Cool, thanks. Didn't get this here. So you can see you can change the side plates. And there's a riggable one. So we're never really quite sure how people are going to use it. So we've designed a lot of flexibility in. So having these side plates, they can be changed, and you can get different types of plate. But they're really simple. I mean, people can machine their own. We'll probably have the spec of it in the manual, so you can machine your own versions of them. And we have plates with mounting points, and we have a plate that holds an external disc or a phone. We also have a plate with a rosette, this one here, for mounting like a side handle. And we include some plates with the camera. So we'll check out the back now, if we can get another shot from there. You can see there's a wide range of connections on the back. It has USB-C on the back. That lets you record to an external disc. It has 12G SDI for on-set monitoring. Obviously, SDI is better than HDMI because you can run the longer cable lengths, and the monitoring output has the dedicated overlays, if you can get those there. There's also a sync timecode and reference input, so it allows you to sync the camera on set. And there's a 1G Ethernet connection, so you can access the CF Express cards, and they actually look like network storage. So you can connect, like you could connect DaVinci and Grade out of the camera, or you can connect it to the internet and get really fast media sync to Blackmagic Cloud. Now you can plug a phone into the USB and also use mobile data. And the Ethernet supports REST APIs for camera control as well. Now, if you look there, we also have a cinema-style DC power connection. There's also some connections on the other side of the battery there. So there's a 3.5mm video camera-style audio input. That's for low-cost microphones. There's also a headphone jack for monitoring. Now we'll talk about the media. It supports 2 CF Express cards, and they're protected by these dust covers here. So it allows continuous recording, so you can hot swap the cards while you're recording. CF Express is fast. It handles the 12-bit RAW files from the camera, but you can also use the USB-C for external discs. And it includes DaVinci Resolve with the camera as well. Now, the batteries are these BPU series batteries. They're really common and available. They can get quite large. Some of these batteries can get really big. They get longer as they get larger, so the design can handle that because they're mounted in the back like that. And you can get over 3 hours on the largest battery. Now, the camera also includes a media browser on the side, so you can browse media and upload to Blackmagic Cloud. You can sync to Blackmagic Cloud, so you can share media globally with DaVinci Resolve users. It records proxies and Blackmagic Raw at the same time, so it'll sync the proxies first, and so the post-production team get the media almost instantly. And you can, if you select the DaVinci Resolve project on the camera, you can record and essentially sync right into the bin. So as you shoot, the shots are actually arriving in the DaVinci workstations right in the bin from the editors. So that's never been possible for us. So it's really cool. It's very amazing, and it's constantly syncing. So even from multiple cameras. So you just need to connect the internet or a phone for mobile data to the camera, and you can start uploading Blackmagic RAW files or the proxies or both. So it's really cool. The other thing it does is it supports live streaming. So you can live stream to your clients. They could watch the shoot live anywhere in the world. So you just got to connect a 5G or a 4G phone. And there's also a streaming status indicator on the LCD. So it includes the data rate, so it shows you what's going on with the stream. And you can stream to platforms like Obviously, or you can stream to the ATEM Streaming Bridge, because the ATEM Streaming Bridge can basically drive a TV for the client, and it'll convert the live stream back to video. So imagine the post team watching the shoot live. I think it'll be really cool. Also, it's a professional camera, so it's got a time code generator built in. That's what the dedicated BNC input's for. It can sync the camera and hold the time of day. So as the cameras are moving around and starting to stop recording, they'll all get accurate time code. Then you can bring in all the cameras together in the new multi-source feature in DaVinci and edit all the clips. It also includes Bluetooth control, so you can download our Bluetooth app or build your own apps for like iOS or Android apps, things like that. It also includes a free SDK. Now, the new Blackmagic URSA Cine viewfinder obviously supported, and the top handle you can get from the URSA Cine as well as the same top handle. So it's really quite cool. Those accessories look great. So it's an amazing high-end viewfinder. It just looks so good on this camera, and it's a micro OLED display. It's really high resolution. And it connects to the front here with the same USB cable, and it powers from the camera. But there's a whole heap of different accessories that work with this camera. So there's mounting points everywhere. So you can use it in 1,000 different ways. So it's pretty cool. So I think this is an amazing camera with so many features. It fully integrates into the whole post-production process. So the new Blackmagic Pyxis 6K will be priced at $2,995. However, there's actually 3 models of this camera. So I'll show you. I'll just move them aside. I'll put this one over here. So we also have an EF lens mount model. That's it here. And so this is a locking EF mount. So you can use regular and cinematic EF lenses. And the EF mount model will also be $2,995. But we also have a PL mount model as well over here. And this is a high-end, this is for high-end cinema lenses. And it can read the lens data from the PL mount as well. So it gives you a lot of creative choice. So it's really cool. Now the PL mount model will be a little bit more. It's $3,195. So those prices are excluding duty. So obviously they can vary a little. Now the new Blackmagic Pyxis cameras will be available in June. So we do have one more thing. We have a new color panel for DaVinci Resolve. Now we wanted something a bit more portable than the current micro panel, and also something a bit more affordable. And also we have the iPad version of DaVinci Resolve now, so we needed sort of something that was a good solution for the iPad. So we built that product. It's called the DaVinci Resolve Micro Color Panel. Let me show you. I'll bring it out. There it is there. So if you can get a shot of that. It's got really nice trackballs. We spent quite a lot of time researching trackballs because we wanted to make them as small as we could, but they had to be very usable for like hours a day. And these are really nice. They've got a really smooth motion. I can remove the ring. You can see that, that's how they work. There's the ball there, and there's a proper bearing. It's got a really nice bearing for the incredibly smooth rotation. It's not like bits of plastic. It's, a proper roller bearing with a special lubricant in it. And it costs a lot more, but it's incredibly smooth. And that's important because, it might be small, but this has got to be professional. Now, it's got the same nice primary corrector knobs along the top, and they're machine metal mechanisms under the knobs, so they're very precise, and it's great for fine adjustments. We also have an all-new button layout. Now the buttons are a hard plastic now with a scissor mechanism, so they're really nice. They feel much better than the older silicon buttons, so much better, actually. So let me show you how it works, but you need to hold on a sec. I just need to go and change to the color page, and also probably need to turn off the keyer. So I'll just pop down here and turn off the keyer and the switcher, and then change to the color page. There we are. Now the panel's Bluetooth, so you don't need a connection. I've already connected to this computer, so it just works even from down here. So I can use the trackballs to change the color. So you can see there. So it's pretty cool. Now I can also use the reframe shots on the keyboard as well. We have shift up and shift down buttons, and these add extra features to the buttons, but they also they change the state of the trackballs. So for example, I can press and hold the shift down and use the trackballs to adjust the framing. So there's a shift down there, and then I can do framing. So that's quite nice. And I can even do the aspect ratio and rotate. It's pretty cool. And so the gain trackball does the size and position, the gamma trackball does the rotation. So we can also adjust the power window with the trackball. So let's add a window. I'll add a window there. And then I can press and hold the shift up key and use the trackballs to adjust the power window. Now the gain trackball does the size and position, and the gamma trackball does the window aspect ratio and rotation. So let's do that. So I can change the shape of I can do the rotation. I can change the shape. Then I can change the size and the position. So it's pretty cool. So it's really nice to use. And what's really exciting is it's localized. So we've actually added multiple languages. So initially we'll have English, French, Spanish, German, Italian, Portuguese, Korean, Japanese, Chinese, Vietnamese, and Thai. And we'll add a few other languages after that. So let me show you one of those panels. We've got a Korean one here. So you can see, if you can get a bit of a shot of that, you can see an example of how it looks when it's localized. So it's a very powerful panel. And you can put this slot on the back as for an iPad. So it's pretty cool too. I don't think we had an iPad. So I think it'll really help freelance colorists. It's so portable. So this new DaVinci Resolve micro color panel is $495. So the English model is available now, and the other languages will ship in a few weeks' time. Oh, we do have an iPad. Cool. Thanks. So you can see I can put it in the slot here, and it holds the iPad. And it connects to the iPad with Bluetooth. So it's pretty cool. Okay, lastly, we have some new prices for Video Assist. So recently we've been working really hard on reducing the cost of these. We have so many cameras that support Blackmagic RAW now with Video Assist, so reducing the prices will be really helpful. And then more people can use Blackmagic RAW, plus all the other great features in Video Assist, such as the monitoring and the recording and the scopes, plus the focus and framing tools. So now the 5-inch model of the Blackmagic Video Assist 3G was $525, and now it'll be $325. The Blackmagic Video Assist 3G 7-inch model was $765. It'll now be $565. And the 5-inch 12G model was $795, and that'll be $595.
Заметь, что мы видим твое окно.
Так, я микрофон забыл включить. Так, ну что вы думаете по поводу обновления?
А ты уже скачал, Дима?
Да, я скачал, буду ставить. Давайте я тогда для тех, кто нас смотрит, особенно новые пользователи, еще разочек напомню, что перед тем, как ставить обновление, лучше этого не делать. А во-вторых, если уж ставите, то обязательно базу данных бэкапьте, чтобы у вас была возможность на нее откатиться. А лучше вообще создавайте новую базу данных, чтобы старые не трогать. Вот чтобы сделать бэкап, нажимаем не сюда, вот сюда, бэкап, и делаем в надежное место бэкап каждой базы данных, которая нам нужна. Все. Я сейчас бэкапить не буду, мне это не надо, я просто новую создам. Саму я уже скачал.
Все, закончили.
Все, да.
Можно закрывать вкладочку.
Больше ничего интересного там не будет?
М-м.
Какой-нибудь прощательный ролик?
Pretty
Не,
cool
не,
какой-нибудь.
pretty cool, да, все уже.
Пятиком. А, кстати, я же включил. Давайте спросим. Сколько
Сколько
раз
раз он сказал pretty cool, да?
сказал? Пусть, да, pretty cool и really cool. Че, я really неправильно написал?
Просто cool.
А пусть он посчитает. Диме Драгун, потому что от меня трансляция шла. довольно круто. Несколько раз. Подсчитай точное количество. Точная сумма, упомянутой Димой, составляет... Да нет, это не то.
А скажите мне, пожалуйста, вот я сейчас смотрю новые фичи у Resolve 19, и там есть такая штука Object Removal. Не Patch Replacer, а именно Object Removal. А он был до этого или нет?
Так, у меня такое ощущение, что был. Серег, ты что думаешь?
Я прослушал. Чего там, какое?
Короче, у них фича, то есть я просто смотрю, они почему-то у них вперемешку новые штуки и условно старые штуки, которые уже существуют хрен пойми сколько. То есть, например, у них есть в AI Tools, вот этих их набор всяких плюшек через AI, у них есть Object Removal. Это именно инструмент, ты трекаешь там условно масочку, потом применяешь этот эффект, и вот он тебе вуаля, условно, как в авторе, как я понимаю, есть тоже возможность такая сейчас сделать. Вот, я пытаюсь понять, потому что Patch Replacer, да, он был давно, как бы еще какие-то штуки были давно, а вот Object Removal я просто не помню.
Object Removal какой-то был, но вполне возможно, что
Обновили
это
что-то?
какой-то новый инструмент, да, он, может, по-другому работал, я что-то не помню, чтобы я им пользовался. Кстати, выложили гайд на этом самом, на support-пейдже лежит уже PDF-документ со всеми описанными новыми фичами.
У меня
Серег,
просто все
сделаем
саппорт
пост
не
в
обновлялся.
тележку.
Сделаем, да. Ну, сейчас вот давай все соберется, сейчас еще все блогеры тут отчитаются и напишем, да. Ну, не
Слушай,
знаю,
а у меня
там,
почему-то
слушай,
саппорт не вышло.
У
надо
меня саппорт
сделать,
тоже не
наверное,
обновлен.
видос какой-то про бэкап лишний раз напомнить или ссылку добавить.
Я
Вот он
хотел
сейчас
его
начнет
сделать,
ставить.
этот видос. Я больше скажу, я в самом интенсиве должен был сделать целый блок про апдейтинг, и они практически все сценарии записаны, только я не успел записать, я занимался там Notion, вот, поэтому вот этот бэкап и upgrade database.
Слушай, ну, это прям завтра делать не надо. Ну, то есть,
Ну
как бы
да,
смысла
да.
нет, да?
Сереж,
Да.
ты можешь, пожалуйста, ссылку скинуть на документ, где все апдейты? Потому что я сейчас,
Да,
например, на
кстати.
саппорт-пейдже у меня тоже ничего там нет. То есть у них публикация 28 марта последняя.
Я вот скинул. Мне просто пришлось даже это самое, видимо, я много раз тыкал, и куки записались какие-то кривые, и мне не показывал ни новой версии, ни вот этого документа. Сейчас я просто
Ага.
из инкогнито зашел, и мне тут же все показалось.
О, вот тут гораздо все понятнее и лучше описано, чем где бы то ни было еще. Спасибо большое, Серег.
Ага.
Да. А, Серег, а можешь еще в нашу группу тоже кинуть?
О, кстати, они добавили на не студию версию ускоренное декодирование H264-265 на винду. Да, чё бы и нет.
Мне, кстати, понравилось, что там какой-то трекер улучшенный во Fusion.
Да,
Вообще,
IntelliTracker, да.
да. Вообще, в принципе, в DaVinci на страничке Color классный трекер, а во Fusion тоже для композа классный трекер. Они еще сделали его это. Ну, короче, меня это порадовало. Еще, кстати, что порадовало, в Face Refinement, я так понимаю, постоянно была проблема, что если он слетел, то ты ничего с ним не поделаешь. А теперь вроде бы...
Вроде можно настраивать, да.
Да, но это нужно будет тестить.
Кстати,
Ну, его, да,
еще
там
одна
еще, я так
штучка
понимаю,
новая. Добавили
отредактировать.
возможность экспорта с нечетными значениями разрешения в MOV и AVI-клипы.
Если
Так
там
это-
нет компрессии с субдискретизацией.
Ограничение какое-то.
Ну, вот тут как бы есть просто кодекс render support for odd number resolution in MOV and AVI clips. Все. За что купил, зато продал.
А
Там
где это
интересная,
написано?
там,
Какая
знаешь,
страничка?
интересная штука во Fusion по поводу
12.
ротоскопа добавили. То есть там теперь можно, когда у тебя сложные маски, то
В
есть,
одном.
да, ты как бы их можешь модерировать, по сути, в одном каком-то блоке.
Вот, кстати, я когда была трансляция, просто в Нюке это было чуть ли там не... Ну вот я в Нюке 7-й версии, там это было всегда в ротопейнте. И меня так это бесило, что нет во Фьюжене. Слава богу, что теперь это есть.
Классно.
Не, ну там можно было, конечно, и без этого, но я так понимаю, теперь это удобнее в том плане, что, да, ты вот как в Нюке, у тебя просто, по сути, вот несколько вот этих вот рота слоев, да,
Да,
которые в одном
да.
месте собраны.
Ребят, самое, вот, кстати, то, о чем вообще не сказали, но нам супер полезная штука, которая наконец-то облегчит джебную боль. Можно, наконец, выбирать, по какому каналу синхронизируешь аудио по waveform. То есть ты можешь выбрать waveform, а дальше, например, он
О,
же обычно брал всегда левый первый канал. Тут ты можешь, наконец, выбрать микс или там второй, третий, какой конкретно тебе нужен канал, по которому ты синхронизируешь. Это в отдельный прям графу выделили в медиа. Что теперь
И,
можно это делать.
и там еще, кстати,
это круто.
по-моему, сделали,
Да.
что теперь у тебя прям в инспекторе, если у тебя, соответственно, мультиченнел аудио,
Да, там можно все это выбирать, да.
можно выбирать. Вот интересно, кстати, народ кучу раз спрашивал по поводу того, что когда у тебя превью клипов в Source Viewer, чтобы ты мог, например, какой-то один канал выбрать. Вот про это что-то ничего не сказали. Но есть подозрение, что это вот и не добавили. Но, может быть, у тебя появится возможность, когда ты открываешь клип в Source Viewer, у тебя в инспекторе тоже его какие-то свойства, и там, соответственно, можно выбирать и отключать. Может быть. Мы сейчас проверим. Ну, не сейчас, через какое-то время.
Да.
Люди спрашивают, когда там приходит какой-то стем, там 5-8-канальный, условно говоря, да, и у тебя все эти каналы чем-то забиты. Вот, и тут получается, что тебе такое, превью очень неудобно смотреть.
Да. Кстати, из прикольного медиа-менеджмент теперь поддерживает альфа. То есть можно, соответственно, нарезать даже клипы с альфа-каналом. Он не будет их скипать, не будет их вставлять полностью, он будет их тоже разрезать.
А
И,
раньше не делал так?
видимо, нет, потому что это сейчас именно отдельные фичи указали, что медиа-менеджмент now retains alpha for supported formats.
Ну, надо посмотреть.
Да.
Ну, забавно. Нет, слушай, апдейт большой на самом деле. Как бы посмотрим, как все это работать будет. Вот. Что-то Грант сегодня как-то в ударе.
Да, слушай, NAB внушительный.
Ну, вот, сегодня
У
очень...
него аж в конце плечо задергалось, бедолаги, просто устал рассказывать.
Да не, у него постоянно дергается.
Он перед
Знаешь,
камерой.
такое ощущение, что просто у него сзади, видимо, Реми какой-то свой сидит, только не под колпаком, а под рубашкой, так его дергает. Что говорить, да. Отсылка к Рататую, если что. Тут что-то какая-то тишина, блядь, настолько плохо. Господи, ладно.
Да, я не понял просто, сорян.
Я понял, что ты не понял, я понял, что ты прав. Ладно.
Я просто пытаюсь разобраться, почему у меня DaVinci не запускается, что-то ему не нравится. А надо было раньше.
А ты новый уже поставил, да?
Да, он живот
Да,
ставит
19-ю
в
ночь.
лайве. Да. Интересно, сделали ли они возможность нормального экспорта транскрибации, как это сделано даже, например, в примере, что ты хотя бы в текст файл можешь это закатать и отдать условно редактору на работу, потому что я вижу, что тут есть значок экспорта, но я не вижу, я пока не
Подожди, он
знаю,
так,
какие там есть опции.
он, по-моему, как-то и так умел отдавать, но просто в каком-то простом таком формате. Просто
Вот, да,
без
в этом проблема. Просто
тайм-кодов, там,
была без
без...
тайм-кодов, без ничего, да. А вот сейчас, с учетом того, что он еще и предлагает разбивку по людям, и он к ним тут же приписывает как бы тайм-коды, может быть, он все-таки наконец это в каком-то нормальном виде тебе может
Ну,
отдавать.
я думаю, если даже сейчас это не работает, то это заработает. Ну, то есть, это
Hope so,
очевидная
да.
вещь, как бы довольно.
О, заработало, давайте, открывай.
Интересно, даже базу данных предлагает не обновлять.
Может, это из-за того, что пока бета?
Даже проект не предлагает обновлять.
То есть, он на старой базе запустился у тебя?
Да,
Да.
на старый.
Класс, ну, это
Ничего себе.
вообще...
Но я все равно создам
Ну, кстати,
себе
наверное,
отдельно.
сохраненный проект, возможно, уже не откроется.
Не-не, я открыл, Серег. Я сразу
Не,
первое
имеется
видео
в виду, что если ты
попробовал.
откатишься обратно, то это не факт, что открытый проект в 19
Не, слушай, ну, с
откроешь.
другой стороны, он всегда обычно предупреждал до этого.
Предупреждал, да.
Что, типа, апдейт, как бы, проекта уже вслед, как бы, не откатывается. Может быть, они не стали менять. Почему обязательно должны были что-то поменять? Ну, как бы,
Потому что всегда меняли.
всегда меняли. Нет, ну, на самом деле, уже по-другому же пошло, как бы, уже база там, по-моему, с 18.5, как бы, структурнее.
О,
Проект менялся.
наконец-то реально нужный апдейт для text-based эдитинга. Короче, у меня просто периодически бывало такое, что Resolve мог искать только слово целиком, и тебе важно было указывать окончание, потому что если ты укажешь условно без окончания, и ты хочешь все варианты этого слова просто найти, то он тебе так не покажет ни хера. Тебе нужно было именно важно указывать окончание. Наконец они добавили возможность именно не по слову целиком, а по содержанию. То есть, например, у тебя есть зеленый слово, и он еще есть зеленая, зеленое. Ты, наконец, не вводишь все по отдельности, а можешь просто ввести зелен, и он тебе выдаст все. Потому что раньше это нельзя было сделать, он бы тебе просто не выдал никакие слова, к сожалению.
Они
Наконец,
бы еще
это...
сделали возможность, что, ну, понятно, что там висперовские модели используются, но чтобы можно было их переключать. Ну, вот это вот.
Да. Можно
Конечно.
импортировать, экспортировать транскрибации как SRT-файлы теперь. Ну, ладно.
Не, ну там, да, нет, ну тут просто с другой стороны есть куча там софта, который современный для работы с субтитрами, который вообще что угодно теперь умеет делать, вплоть до того, что недавно был в чате, кто-то спрашивал, я дал ссылку, я сам не пользовался, человек нашел софт, который из готового текста, уже отредаченного, который без разбивки был по тайм-кодам, этот софт раскидал ему по тайм-кодам к видео, создал
Прикольно.
субтитры из текста. То есть, как бы, ну, это сторонние какие-то
Ну
приложения.
слушай, субтитры из текста, а YouTube даже умеет синхронизировать, ты ему вставляешь просто текст, он тебе прокладывает по тому, что слышит твой текст, то есть там это
Ну,
тоже
да.
функция есть. Но просто она существенно, я думаю, сейчас улучшается во многих местах, и это круто.
Вадим, а ты увидел, что я первым делом проверил?
Ты что-то пошел в Quick Export, мне показалось,
Ну
да?
да.
Ты все надеешься, что они оживят эту функцию.
Да.
О, господи. Да. Кстати, а вот
Знаете,
вообще, меня что
ну,
по это, сейчас быстро я просто проговорю,
давай.
почему-то отдельно отметили касательно того, что теперь на клавиатуре цифровой сбоку можно вводить значение тайм-кода. Так, а разве это раньше нельзя было? Ну, то есть у меня просто было забиндено,
Да,
что
кстати.
на Enter...
Всегда было вроде, да.
Да, то есть у
Да.
меня просто было забиндено на малый Enter, что я ввожу именно тайм-код, а дальше, ну, вводи также плюс-минус, там, можешь и склейки, и все
Ну, тут
остальное
поменяли, вот я
подрезать.
смотрю, в этот настройку лута, кстати.
То есть
Смотрите,
они сделали ее
да,
адекватной, да?
важную штуку добавили. Добавили, во-первых, Color Space Transform здесь
Это вообще
для
шикарно.
конвертации. Да, того, что очень не хватало.
А вот
Вот,
экспорт
все
этого
равно
добра они не... Вот и сохранить нельзя, да?
сохранить вроде нет.
Хотя там, с другой стороны...
Смотри, зато они добавили... Серег, они, по-моему, переделали это Color Management во Fusion. Мы же с тобой это
Видимо, да.
обсуждали.
Это мы будем смотреть. То есть, во всяком
Мне
случае...
интересно только, почему там кейфреймы.
Типа,
Вас не смущает, да, что везде
Слушай.
как бы есть кейфреймы, блядь?
Подожди, а это всегда
Нет,
так было?
нет, в том-то и дело. Здесь это просто значки типа реверс, а там это именно
Ты будешь
кейфреймы, это странно.
плавно менять пространство, там еще какая-то... Может быть, это
А мне
спойлер.
интересно, а он работает как кейфрейм именно?
Сделай кейфрейм,
Да.
adaptation или там, не знаю, максимум.
Так. И сделай другой, да.
Нет, не
Нет,
работает.
это, видимо, просто это глюки еще беты пока, судя по всему.
Ладно, ну, в общем, на самом деле много всяких интересных штук.
Да.
Будем смотреть, как это все работает, конечно.
Из прикольного они, видимо, добавили какие-то категоризации для этих всяких фьюженовских на страничке Edit для библиотеки эффектов они добавили возможность добавлять категории в раздел Favorites. То есть, когда ты отмечал звездочкой,
Дима, проверь, слушай, не случайно не добавили, кинь какой-нибудь в этом, на Ведите текст плюс.
Сейчас,
да,
одну
да.
секунду. Ребят, блядь, вы не видите, что произошло? Произошло решение проблемы, которая я много лет, про которую постоянно возникала. Это то, что теперь во Fusion картинка такая же, как и на Edit. То есть здесь через это все настраивается. Вот, Color Space
Это в
Transform.
этом, в Альгамуте ты сейчас, да?
В R7.
Класс.
Неужели?
Да, вот это самое,
Наконец-то.
по-моему, глобальное, да.
Наконец-то можно не смотреть часовой семинар Бернта и Дарьи, точнее двухчасовой семинар о том, как
Которым ничего
настроить,
не
и который
работает.
так и в итоге
Не работает.
ничего не работает.
Ты меня обижаешь. Смотреть как раз-таки мой урок на эту тему, где я показал, как это делать
Ты
в
молодец. Ты самый
RGB.
лучший.
Сука.
Ты просто
Кинь, пожалуйста, текст
Ладно,
плюс
давайте.
просто и правой кнопкой мыши на него. Просто
текст плюс, да. Ага. Так, и теперь, соответственно, если ты открываешь его в
Не,
этом...
я просто у меня было такое ощущение, что после записи урока про сохранение пресетов, они вот именно в 19 это добавят. Так что
При том, что урок вышел только вчера у нас, да?
да.
да, открывай. Да. То есть,
Не добавят.
не, подожди, ему надо включить character level styling сначала. А потом уже, да. А теперь...
Не.
ну ты ему надо все равно перейти, получается, во Fusion,
Перейти, но она не
чтобы...
переходила.
А,
Какие-то темплейты, Серег, добавились.
Ну, это надо посмотреть по
Причем надо
документации.
смотреть, да.
Ну, нет, они, кстати, не факт, что они на эту документацию напишут, так что это...
Слушай, ну как-то она подвинула, я только не могу понять, как. Так, там у них в Твиттере презентация за презентацией. Ну, это, в принципе, все,
Да,
что они
что-то, я
показали.
думаю, все, да, они хайлайтами все, что написали.
Да, блин, а как вот она сделала так прикольно?
Так. Нужно дважды кликнуть в оверлей вьювера. То есть, типа, кликаешь на нем дважды, и вот у тебя появляется, и что-то можно делать.
Не, вот схвати вот за вот это вот.
У меня
Не,
все зависло.
за точечку схвати, в углу которой.
Не, вот это, да, белый. Не?
Не, она не берет.
м,
Такое ощущение, что это просто в курсор. Кстати, а раньше курсор был?
Не помню.
А
По
там,
крайней мере, не в
там
этом.
иногда в эти самые в Fusion вьюверы могут очень странно работать в эдите. Могут работать, могут не работать, еще что-то. Ладно, это надо проверять.
Да.
Всё.
Так, ну, перенос по
Принципиально
строчкам.
здесь ничего не поменяли, я вижу. То есть, никакого вот этого самого автовраппинга здесь нет.
Да, ну как-то вот она делала. Ладно, просто в уроке-то я же, который недавно делал для барабана, я же там говорил, что типа нужно переходить во Fusion. А сейчас...
Все равно
О,
нужно.
кстати, смотри, roll, scroll position. Да ладно, неужели это
Ну
добавили?
все, теперь переделываем барабан, ребят.
Слушай, реально придется переделывать текст свой.
Слушай, у них цикл как бы с беты на релиз, во всяком случае, по всем прошлым срокам, если смотреть, они где-то к лету только выпускают, в июле, в августе релиз.
Не,
Ну,
почему они и на прошлом разве не презентовали в апреле примерно?
Они
прошлом.
презентовали бету, как и сейчас, это бета.
Ну да, а релиз потом.
Релиз вообще был только в июле или в августе.
Да, только сейчас паблик бета.
Ну да, нет, я к тому, что как бы к моменту релиза тут еще будет, по-моему, 18-й было 6 бет.
смотри, кстати, Серега,
Да.
по ходу нода сама по себе, в принципе, теперь есть текст плюс старый, есть текст плюс новый, потому что, видишь, я сейчас закинул старый, и здесь нету вот этого контроллера, который у нового. Контроллер roll.
Это при том, что старый будет работать, да.
Да. Вот.
Интересно.
Ну, старый, да, все окей, работает хорошо. Вот. Ну, интересно, вот эта штучка все-таки scroll position.
На самом деле мне очень привлекла по Fusion эта новая тема Reference Fusion Compositions,
Да,
в котором
да.
ты делаешь, получается, шаблон, который ты можешь потом изменять, и если у тебя там надо потом подставить одинаковые условно картинки, и таких штук 20, чтобы не заходить в каждый из них и переделать, что было раньше достаточно большой проблемой, то ты, наконец, можешь сделать такой референсный шаблон, который апдейтится и подключается, только вот меняется у тебя media in один, и это круто. Это прям хорошая штука.
Интересно, да, я только до конца не понимаю, как она работает.
Но я так понимаю, что ты в нем только заменяешь media in, все, что внутри у тебя апдейтится на уровне проекта, то есть у тебя вот он сохранен, например, на уровне проекта. Дальше ты его раскидываешь по разным местам. После этого, если ты обновишься в нем в какой-то части, то... Все, он сейчас просто не подцепился нормально, ну сразу или что?
Либо, может быть, его нужно кидать на... Нет, тоже так не получается.
Нет, тут надо посмотреть, как именно структура должна быть создана.
Да.
Там
Ну
будут...
А
да.
вот линк, линк надо было нажать. Смотри, да, вот просто линк, и все, и, соответственно...
Да.
Я тут меняю композ, и он везде.
Мне
Прикольно.
кажется, наверное, надо все-таки в таком случае менять значение, открывать дабл-кликом тот, что в коде
Слушай, вот
проекта
это, вот это
хранится.
на самом деле очень крутая штука.
Попробуй его,
У
кстати,
меня
да,
был, у
открыть.
меня был проект, где мне вот это прям пригодилось бы очень сильно, потому что у меня было оформление на каждом клипе в часовом как бы подкасте.
О, обновилось, кстати. При том, что ты, я так понял, Дима, зашел в отдельный какой-то другой клип и в нем
И
поменял,
так
правильно?
попробовал, и так, и так. То
И
есть
все
это...
работает.
Да. Так что
Круто. Вот это круто.
прикольно.
Это очень круто.
Все, надо изучать. Вот это очень полезные вещи. Через нее можно реализовывать вещи, которые, ну, то есть оформление. Как бы ты можно делать такие, по сути, пресеты оформления, вот какие-то.
Да.
И после этого, соответственно, их там шарить на уровне проекта или просто использовать. Ну, тут полезная вещь. Надо придумать какой-нибудь workflow полезный под это дело.
Мгм.
Описать его. Сейчас все придумают. Сейчас там за
Да.
неделю NAB, я думаю, там сейчас все уже все распишут, все покажут. И мы тоже что-нибудь придумаем себе.
Блин, так тяжело
Я,
менять.
кажется,
Да.
понял. Смотрите, вот в чем
Да.
заключается суть этого вот истории всей с текст плюс на экране вьювера.
Ну-ка.
Смотри, получается
Может, зашаришь
раньше...
экран?
Не-не-не, я просто
окей.
объясню словами. Ты можешь, кстати, открыть DaVinci, и просто я объясню, в чем суть того, их обновления. Получается, как я понял, теперь, когда ты дважды тыкаешь на сам текст здесь, вот у тебя появляется этот курсор, ты можешь выделить и сразу заменять эти буквы без перехода в инспектор. Не-не, заменить текст там. То есть введи просто другой текст вместо «вот», да. А этого, как я понимаю, раньше не было. То есть тебе надо было именно в инспекторе тыкнуть на этот текст и его в инспекторе заменять, а не во
Да.
вьювере. Вот что добавили, вот это вот изменение
И
получается.
русская
Об этом
клавиатура
мы
не
говорили.
работает. Я пытаюсь на русском вести, не работает, а на английском работает.
Интересно. А попробуй просто в инспекторе на русском вести, а то не может просто русский язык выделить.
Слушай, Дим, отчет, да, в Color. Зайдем, посмотрим. Вот эти вот ползуночки с хрен с ним.
Давай, да. Выглядит они интересно.
Ну, так я понимаю, просто такие сделали десятель и все.
Да, но прикольно то, что они вот это density вынесли. Так,
Интересно, кстати, сделать сравнение того, как работает десятель, как работает встроенный инструмент.
да, кстати,
Дальнейший.
согласен.
Потому что они плюс еще добавили отдельно по скинтону, получается, крутилку. Вот это прикольно, что вынесли, что не надо сидеть и крутить между красным и между мажентой и между там, еще желтым.
Мгм. Ну, кстати, весьма прикольно работает. Не дает больше единиц поставить, они специально, чтобы какие-то не было странных значений.
Попробуй покрутить именно сами каналы, посмотреть, что с ними будет. Например, по Hue, как работает именно с этим. Это же самое интересное. Вот, например, скинтон, давай попробуем сделать более это.
Сейчас ты имеешь в виду здесь смотреть в векторскопе?
Ну, можно и смотреть в вектороскопе, это не так принципиально, я больше ориентируюсь на картинку самого вьюера, чем на значение.
Друзья, я от вас вынужден отключиться. Мне тут
Давай,
Да,
Серег,
конечно.
дела.
Давай, счастливо.
пока.
Давайте, пока.
Сейчас, знаешь, что хочу попробовать? Ты вот предложил сравнить с десятелем.
Да.
Film density. Пусть будет тоже на единицу. Ага, чуть-чуть по-другому. Вот, может, разные значения.
Может, разные формулы даже.
Да. Окей, ну в любом случае классно, что это добавили, потому что такая штука, которую как бы часто в виде десятельки многие пользовались. Stration, balance, stration. Звучит прикольно.
Да?
Блин, во Fusion бы вот такие бы завезли инструменты, или хотя бы просто вот температуру, тинт. Не хватает. Так, попробуем, как трекер работает, интересно.
Давай.
Intel трекер. Я даже не знаю, ему уже, наверное, особо нет смысла контрастную точку, ему, наверное, имеет смысл попредметно,
Хороший вопрос.
потому что это
Кстати,
уже другая технология.
из маленьких плюсов. Надо сначала тебе, видимо, маску отрисовать для него, а потом уже трек.
Так, это у меня запустился Cloud трекер обычный, а я хотел Intel трекер. Setting forward and reverse tracking.
Ну да, вот он пошел.
Это просто немножко ему надо было подумать.
Угу. Ну, кстати, ничего, так зацепился.
Да.
И мне даже, на самом деле, больше немножко нравится результат с точки зрения, что когда сильно много вращений головы, он маску сильно съезжал. Если это была какая-то круглая маска по 3D-пространству, он ее сильно сужал, разужал. В этом плане может быть полезнее.
Знаешь, что было бы вообще фантастика, если бы даже хлопушка бы не помешала, и он просто как понимает, что это какой-то лишний предмет, его бы обошел. Вот это, по-моему, вообще просто был бы
Ну да.
вау. Ну и в целом,
Но при этом, смотри, хлопушка перекрыла, но он вернулся обратно к точке. То есть, если... Да. То есть, вот он дернулся, да, но потом такой, оп, я нашел, все нормально.
Да.
Пошел дальше, это хорошо.
Да, прикольно.
Угу.
Что там у нас еще интересного?
Добавили саппорт для Fujifilm F-Log и F-Log 2, которые многие Fuji ребята просили, что не было нормального саппорта. До 3 раз быстрее Resolve Beauty, Edge Detect и какой-то Watercolor
кстати,
Effect
его
на
сейчас
macOS.
давай попробуем.
На macOS именно. Добавляю Beauty.
Я хотел сказать Face Refinement.
Нет, его конкретно, то есть он получается, теперь можно подправлять его просто вот. Но он не
я хочу
ускорился.
попробовать. Я хочу именно попробовать подправку.
Подправить? Давай.
Чтобы он слетел и пробовать его подправить. Потому что тут вот я смотрю, кнопка появилась, что-то там Find Frame.
Сейчас посмотрим.
Ощущение...
Новый эффект появился еще Defocus Background. То есть теперь, видимо, правда, выглядит даже на превью похоже, как, знаешь, у айфона, когда вот он делает, это очень похоже на него.
Слушай, смотри, можно поправлять, то есть, видишь, он не нашел тут, и он просто стал, он не пропал, он стал серым.
Ага.
Вот это прям очень не хватало в этом Face Refinement.
Супер.
И теперь вот это полноценный, хотя что-то не очень удобно.
Он покадрово, да, получается, сейчас manual adjustment. Вот ты можешь, смотри, interpolate, вот нажать, там, может быть, он как раз интерполирует, если то...
Ага, так, надо разобраться.
С этим надо разбираться, да.
Что-то не очевидно с первого раза.
Что поделать?
Так вроде работает прикольно.
Но они в целом описали, что по контроллерам именно у Face Refinement прям отдельно этому посвятили страниц 7, побольше. Побольше, да. То есть можно будет прям посидеть и поразбираться. Показали, что каждый из слайдиков теперь делает.
Да. Маркер и клип теперь могут редактироваться.
Это имеется в виду, что ты раньше, когда на Tab нажимал, переходя по клипам, он тебя пропускал маркеры, а теперь он будет на маркерах еще останавливаться и на кейбордах. То есть ты можешь их еще изменить.
Угу. Cut Page, Interactive Resolve.
Давай фильм Look Creator откроем. Вот это
Давай,
прикольная эта штука должна быть. Это же вызов дехансеру.
Дехансеру, да. Интересно, а Павлу Косенко предлагали купить дехансер, или они просто сразу решили?
Мне кажется, они никому ничего не предлагают, они просто такие: так, этот инструмент пользовался какой-то популярностью, давайте мы его добавим сами к себе.
Слушай, ну вот
И
уже нравится. То есть вот то, что
да.
хейтят Дехансер, за то, что он слишком сильно изменяет. Здесь же вот я его добавил, и он именно наложил какой-то определенный лук. Вот неважно
Ага.
там, насколько он пленочный, не пленочный, он просто применил вот какой-то
Он просто
грейдинг.
сделал красиво, вот одной кнопкой, вот то, что люди хотят.
Кстати,
Вот он
да,
это
да.
сделал, все, и вообще нормально получилось.
Еще можно в лут запекать, и специально можно
Это
перед
прикольно, да, вот это
да.
прикольно.
Color blend сразу же можно смешивать и
А
цвет.
вот это разделение между как раз зерном и между,
Да.
между контрастностью, между цветностью, видимо.
Да. А я, кстати, понял, что такое 3LAD Compatible. Он отключает все штуки, такие как виньетка,
Ну, то,
гейтвей.
что не передастся,
Просто,
да, как
да,
раз.
в лут, он просто их отключает. Слушай, вообще продумали все сразу же.
Круто.
Color Space Override. Так, ну я надеюсь, это не надо мне ничего делать.
А это получается, если тебе необходимо изменить, поставить отличные color space от того, что у тебя на таймлинии, или от того, что у тебя
Ну
на
да, но мне это
исходнике,
не
ты
надо,
можешь
потому что я
сразу.
работаю как
Ты
уважающий
уже,
человек в
да, в
RCM.
RCA,
Да,
да, ты молодец.
да, совершенно верно. Сплиттон.
А, я понял. То есть он, получается, здесь идет разделение, а через Hue ты уже настраиваешь, какие тона он тебе использует. Но это
Да,
надо смотреть, мне
прикольно.
кажется, с колесом как-то, чтобы смотреть, как там цвета изменяются, в какую
Мгм.
сторону, чтобы понять принцип работы инструмента. Что-то Halation особо не это.
Есть, я просто посильнее его выкрутил. Да, мне
А,
не
во,
хватит.
все, вижу на ушах,
Да,
все. То
да,
есть ему просто надо, видимо, threshold понизить как-то.
да, да.
Прикольно. Ну, это круто.
Да, очень прикольно, что теперь такая штука
Одна
есть.
кнопка сделать красиво, все.
Да, да. И зернышко какое-то. Ой, прикольно.
Прикольно. Они даже добавили функцию фликер. Она,
Да,
получается,
да,
подражает работе, получается, проектора, когда у нее немножко моргает лампа, как я
да,
понял.
да. На воспроизведении. И фильм-гейт тоже, как в этом. Это тряска, я так понимаю.
Не, вот у тебя, видишь, появились эти рамки, это же вот оно, да?
А, просто рамки. А, окей, ну да.
Да, то есть вместо того, чтобы как раз делать вот эти все оверлей, пресеты и прочее, они просто добавили это сюда, типа, чё бы и нет.
А, вот Gatewave это как раз-таки тряска.
Да,
Вадим, ну ты понимаешь, что нам придется это все изучить и записать ролики на YouTube на эту тему?
вот так-то так.
Так, я сейчас совсем перестал следить.
Что-то вроде ничего и нет.
Да, а там последний Витя писал, это я уже пропустил. Так, ну
Да.
выглядит прикольно.
От нас просто все уходят.
Уходит, да.
Задроты сидят. Какие-то.
Слушай, ну прикольно, вот я его просто накинул, я ничего не сделал, и он вот добавил какой-то вот стиль.
Мгм.
И
Ну,
даже
клево.
скин-тон стал какой-то такой, ну, интересный
Классно.
и теплый. Да, ну прям очень прикольно. Так, ну это бетка, да?
Да,
Да,
это
бетка.
бэтка. О, а давай Music Remixer попробуем. Это тоже...
Кого еще раз? RGB Mixer?
Нет. Не вкладка Color, вкладка Edit или Fairlight на твой вкус. Music Remixer. Добавь какой-нибудь аудиотрек, какую-нибудь песенку. И посмотрим, как он разделяет голос, барабаны, бас, гитару
А,
и
да,
прочее. Вот это вот
да,
очень интересно, потому что это просто может давать очень прикольные варианты с саунд-дизайном и с прочим. Это хорошая тема.
да. Так, Анна Асти, вот,
Господи, у тебя прям
прекрасный трек.
такие треки тут, конечно. Так, получается,
Так,
в инспекторе ты можешь это сделать либо... А, нет, трек FX плагин. То есть это надо на уровень трека опускаться. И тут должен быть трек FX плагин. Нет, ты сейчас выделил клип, а тебе надо именно только трек оставить. А, вот, да. И вот здесь получается Music Remixer. Да, вот он. Во, и здесь можем, соответственно, его открыть вот в отдельное окно и тут уже что-то настраивать. Давай попробуем voice убрать, найди какую-нибудь партию с вокалом, что он с этим сделает, интересно. Если что, сейчас не слышим. Да. Очень даже найс, по-моему. Ну, типа, быстро создавать. Нет, это хорошо. Хорошо прям.
Теперь он пьяный по твоей вине. Царица, а с ним взгляды лютый холод по спине. Он просто не может тебе не раствориться. Значит, поплыл, значит, попал. А как он стесняется, а как он целуется.
Слушай, ну прикольно работает.
Не, это очень...
Нейросетки просто радуют.
Да, это просто реально полезная, нужная штука для какого-то саунд-дизайна, для работы даже с музыкой. В конце концов, ну вот, нашел ты какой-то трек прикольный, но у него, к сожалению, на том же арт-листе есть только версия с голосом. То есть не загрузили инструментал по какой-то причине, а тебе его просто на подложку хочется. Ну это отлично, эта штука там
Да,
отработает то, что
супер.
надо.
Просто супер.
Да.
Так, ну что, Вадим, я думаю, наверное, нужно потихоньку заканчивать, потому что
Да.
я что-то уже прям совсем устал. Надо будет это все изучать более подробно, и нужно будет делать как можно скорее ролики на всю эту тему.
Да.
Хорошо, ладно, ребят, спасибо всем, кто был с нами, кто смотрел, кто смотрит записи. Приходите в онлайн, приходите, оформляйте подписочку на YouTube и на учебный онлайн-центр. Всех рад был сегодня видеть, слышать. Вот, всем хороших выходных, изучайте DaVinci, делайте бэкап обязательно, даже если, несмотря на то, что не требуется обновление базы данных, все равно бэкап лишним не будет. Ну ладно, ребят, на этом все. Всем
Всё,
пока.
спасибо.